Hello and welcome. Why is now suddenly Buster's not working? God damn it.
It's because she shook it.
Yeah, because I freaking broke it with all this freaking beauty. I'm sorry.
Let's see if it resets. Star Citizen Y! I'm blaming Star Citizen for this.
It's not my fault. Damn. I don't know what that was.
I don't know either.
That was my drink onto the bottom of my shot.
You may need a refresh on your side, Buster.
Okay, just refresh. Oh, I see it now. It is frozen on my side. That's weird. Yeah,
it's not just your face, it's frozen. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
She'll hit me later. I'm gonna close it. I didn't even hear what you said, so fair enough.
That's good. I'm safe. My testicles are firmly attached for another day, and I got another way with another one.
Oh, what is going on? Why is it when I'm clicking the link, it's not doing anything?
So while we're waiting, Berks, tell us about your puppy.
Yes.
He is a English Bull Terrier mix. Don't know what he's mixed with. He's mixed with something. And he's got 3 legs.
And how many times have you made out with him on stream now? Because I've seen it at least twice.
Made out?
No, you go over and you like give him a cuddle, and I've seen it. It's quite cool.
I mean, we give him lots of love here.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but my whole thing just suddenly decided to pop out real quick. So let me just do a restart of the computer.
Right, yeah,
that'll probably help.
All right, I'm going back to the intro then. Wait.
Sorry, I'm so sorry, chat.
It literally happened at the. This is the
best time. At the best time. Yeah, I'll be right back.
This has been all day. We've had these kind of technical issues. So,
I'm just surprised DG wasn't here to say #professional, but okay.
Yeah. I didn't know that Berks got Captain Barks.
Captain Barks. Yeah. So what happened was I wasn't really even looking for a dog, and I was Googling dog adoptions as one does. It's just like I basically was just like I don't know, on the fence for a long time. And contemplating, and so I saw him and I was like, man, he's a really handsome dog. And once I started reading his bio, it was like loves people, really friendly, and then it was like has 3 legs, and I was like, oh man, well, I was like, I gotta go get him now. He's just a puppy still too. He's 9 months.
Okay, so is he got a name, or is it just Captain Barks? Bucky. Oh, that's such
Bucky
a good name.
Yeah,
Bucky and Berks. Your Captain and Bucky. Yeah, that makes that works so well. Yeah, Captain Bucky. There we go.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, that'll work. All right.
Okay.
Oh, she's back.
Yeah. Let me just reopen that link and everything in OBS. Sorry about this, everybody.
Have you got the whole Klingon thing going today, Buster? Is that what's...
You wish.
Oh, okay.
You wish. I mean, I got the Klingon thing going on all the time, 24/7, baby.
I'm still hot over the the candy bars thing from the other night. Whew. Yes, gentlemen, she was showing me her candy.
Boy?
Buster's bars are the best bars in the verse. I don't know what you're talking about. She shares. She's very generous. She shares her bars with everybody. Everyone gets to experience Buster's bars. If it's doing the freeze thing, this has been happening before. We may have to go through Discord to get that working, Buster.
Okay. I'm gonna reload it one more time.
Yeah.
Give it one more college try, but when I do, it's just not.
Yeah.
It's like it's crashing me out.
Yep. Go ahead and turn on your camera on Discord, and I'll.
You'll make it work.
Turn this off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Give me one moment, please, sir.
Like I said, I would not be able to do this if this was 3 3 years ago. Like I've got so many workarounds. I feel like I've become a Star Citizen streamer in streaming as well because I know all the workarounds, right? the stupid little things you can do to make things work.
All right, there you go.
There she is.
And it's much better. It's not lagging and all that, from what I can tell. So
yeah, it's pretty good. That said, if this went for another 24 hours, I know Paul would just be wearing gaffer tape or duct tape.
Yes, that would 100% be happening.
Hard.
Okay, there we go.
I need to retweet you.
Okay.
So when I come to Austin, whose house am I staying at?
I'm the only one who lives in Austin, so you'd have to stay at my house.
When I come to Texas, sorry, y'all,
Texas is a big state. Like between where Captain Berks lives, where I live, and where Buster lives is like that's a 6-hour drive at some time in some cases.
Each way. Like,
yeah.
Well,
you could drive for 12 hours and you could drive for 12 hours in Texas and not leave the state.
Yeah.
You know Australia's like 90% desert, right?
Yes, but you all live on that little spit of land that's not desert.
Yeah, the outside.
All right. I think everyone's good.
Ironically funny thing, and that's where all the dangerous animals live, in the desert. So everyone's like, you guys are so brave. Yeah. We're right carrying on the edge of the coastline.
There we go. I'm turning the music off now. All right. So welcome back. Let's go through all the introductions. Welcome back to this 2 Texans and an Australian talk about Star Citizen section of this. We're doing 3 Texans, right? 3 Texans. Yes. Thank you. I am a Texan.
Just have a quick check.
So we've been raising money for Doctors Without Borders. We've raised $3,045. Our goal is now $4,000. So if you want to help us out, !MSF in chat. If you're watching this on Twitch, pull that up and donate whatever you need. Anything you can do to help us with that goal. So I do want to thank all of these wonderful folks for coming in so far. We've had a lot of different cast members, and so let's get started with Berks. Captain Berks, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can they find you?
My name is Captain Berks. Most people just call me Berks, and I create different kinds of content on Twitch. A lot of that is combat stuff, but usually turns into goofing around just because I'm pretty goofy natured. So lots of shenanigans in Star Citizen. Basically, if you can have fun in Star Citizen, I want to be a part of it. So anything from Argo races to intense PvP group fights, stuff like that is what I want to be a part. I think that I've shifted into doing bounty hunting, stuff like that. You can find me on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Captain Berks, all the same. Berks, since a lot of people have trouble spelling it. Glad to be here, Paul. We've it feels weird being back on your show after a while because it's been a year, so much has changed. It feels like,
Yeah. It's
I really started with you. After like a month of being around in the community, Paul was like, "Hey, you want to come on the show?" And I was like, "Oh my God, are you serious? Like, I'd be honored." Yeah. And
now he's bigger than Jesus.
No. It's just like, I think it's just so interesting that like I never thought I would be one of the top Star Citizen creators, and now I'm here. And a lot of times I open up my stream and I'm like, I don't know why people watch me, and so it's I don't know, it's just it's cool to see the community develop, and man, I'm super honored to grow alongside creators like yourself. So thanks for having me again.
Well, thank you for coming on, and thank you for bringing your community along with us. Captain Berks. It's Captain Berks, all one word, right?
Yeah, all one word.
All one word. And then, of course, we've got the stunning, powerful, and vicious Buster Okpamoje. Did I say it right?
Well, you have to say your name first. Buster Och.
Buster Och, yeah.
When you say, everybody, I'll always do this lesson for everybody. If you want us to introduce yourself in Klingon, like if Captain Berks wanted to say, my name's Captain Berks in Klingon, he'd say, Captain Berks Och Pamoje.
There we go.
So there you go.
Okay, so that's my name. Okay, got you. All right.
So yeah.
Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen? Where can they find you?
I am Buster Destroyer. I am a content creator here on Twitch. I play a lot of Star Citizen, and I am the president of the Disco Lando fan club, as we all know. Which I did not miss a bit of that. I actually was here when that happened, and I was like, "Oh, he's there! That's so cute." But why couldn't I be there? That's sad. But are y'all there?
Yeah.
We're so quiet.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my
I'm
God.
tired.
Okay.
I'm tired,
Okay.
man. I'm tired.
Me too, Paul. I know you're more tired than me, but I'm tired too.
But anyway, like I said, I do Star Citizen here on Twitch, and I stop on here occasionally. And then of course I'm part of Paul's little thing called the Spice Bus Roll, where we play a bunch of tabletop RPGs. And I play Commander Baj on Star Trek Vasquez and Captain Maddox on the Expanse. So I do fun stuff. And then what do I do in Star Citizen? I'm an idiot. It's fine. And then where can you find me? You can find me on Twitter and a lot of social media as Buster Destroyer, and then here, of course, on Twitch as Buster the Destroyer. And I just wanted to say, I am doing. I am gonna do. This is my gift to Jared Huckabee, but I am going to take over the title of Red One.
There we go.
You're welcome, Jared.
We have Red One here. President.
I'm gonna take it over for him. It's time for it to go to a new place. So, but anyway, there you go.
There we go. Then last but not least, we have the. I don't know how to put this. I was gonna make some joke about you talking over Algrid on Infrarunners, but I don't know how to make that. The pushy one of the pushy hosts.
The wrangler of the Algrid.
The Owl Wrangler, Mr. Execute. Yeah. Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can they find you?
I'm a co-host of the Infrunners with Paul, Algrid, Seer the Sixth, Osiris, and Space Tomato. And that's basically it. We do a bunch of different stuff over there at Infrunners. But yeah, lots of different deep dive discussions, helping people with their fleets. So I was aware we're the only people that kind of do a fix my fleet type thing. But yeah, and one of my pet hobbies actually is going around and finding smaller creators and hanging out with them and stuff like that. And that's actually how I found Space Tomato. I found him when he was about 600 subscribers, and I said, "You're going to be bigger than us in 6 months," and or as big as big as us, and in 6 months, and now a year later, he's double the size of us. So yeah, he's done real well.
And where can you find the Infrunners?
Just on YouTube. Infrunners on YouTube.
YouTube.com/Infrunners. There you go.
But no, I don't know how to reply to the glorious Buster the Destroyer here, or the pretty boy of the verse, Captain Berks. I think that's what you are, Berks. I think you're the pretty boy of the verse. You don't take it any other way.
Someone's going to take that title from me.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna get started with something that's going to break friendships, because Execute's about to make Berks.
It's not going to break friendships.
Okay, we'll start with this. Go ahead, Berks.
So the idea I had was like, well, no one, like, we're raising money for charity, yeah. So my whole thing was, I kind of said to Buster, I said, look, have you come up with any ideas for like how to raise money? And then I just floated this totally random idea that had come into my head, and what it was. And I reckon since there's $4,000 there, Berks, if it gets to $4,000, you know how you can go on those websites and get like an ordained minister? We're going to get you to ordain yourself as a minister for Star Citizen, and people can come to you to get married in the game and stuff like that. I reckon it's a fantastic idea. I reckon, like, think of all the gameplay going forward where I got married by Berks. Like, I can just see it now. And
Father Berks. Father Berks. Pope, His Holiness Berks. Brother Berks, His Holiness the Berks. Yeah.
Bucky Berks can come in as well, and we can get him to train him to carry the flat, like
Cardinal Bucky. There we go. Yeah.
Oh man.
Do it.
So that's my crazy idea. Right?
Oh,
and to get to it though, in the next 3 hours, we're going to get to $4,000.
4,000.
Right?
Yes.
So you don't have to do it if we don't, but if we do, you've got to go get a date on one of those websites. Take you like 5 minutes, and then you can marry off people left, right, and center. I think it's a brilliant idea.
Wow.
And it seems like chat likes it too.
So I don't know how this affects this at all, but I was ordained in the state of Texas at one point.
Well, we renew it then.
Yeah.
I renew it, I guess. Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, I'm down, I guess.
It's
Yeah,
like
no
I
harm in
knew
it.
he'd been ordained before. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was ordained once.
All right. I
There
can
we go.
actually share the chat with Buster. Buster was like replying to me like I was a psychopath. It was quite funny at the time. I'm just like,
there we go.
lol.
There we go.
Like the
So-
conversation was very muted.
There we go. If we reach $4,000, Captain Berks will get Captain Berks ordained as the high priest of Star Citizen.
And
I
I'll
don't
throw
know
in
how
too.
that would work.
I'll let chat pick my next nail set, like my next nail colors.
Okay, so I have to marry people and they get to pick your nail, Kelly.
Yeah, do you know how hard it is to freaking paint nails, bro? Come on.
You don't have to marry people. You just have to have the ability.
Buster, you have to be the flower girl at
Yes.
the first wedding.
I'll totally do that. I will
Yes.
so do that. I'm 100%.
The first
Okay,
wedding in the verse. There we go. The first wedding in the verse.
I agree
man.
to that 100%.
And I'll walk him down the aisle. How's that
Oh
sound?
wow,
There.
beautiful.
There we go. We got the first.
He's not getting married. Why, he doesn't need to be walked?
No. Like whoever it is, the they have the bride
Okay,
or groom in those traditional stances. The bride gets walked down the aisle. I will give away the bride, whether it is a man, beast, dog, or a pumpkin. I don't care. I will walk them down the aisle.
There we go.
There you go.
There we go. All right. Till clone do us part.
I honestly thought it was gonna be something way worse than that. Like you were gonna have me shave my head.
Yeah, I was
We
waiting
can do that
for
too
it.
if you want.
Oh god. Man, how would I even explain that to my chat? I'd lose all my subscribers.
Well, as I
all
said,
right.
it's not anything physical, so it's like I just wanted something that was a bit of fun and a bit humorous, and I just thought, like, I do crazy things all the time. Buster does crazy things all the time. I know Paul puts up with me, so he's half crazy as well. So you were the least crazy of us, so I figured it had to be you.
There we go. So there's a link if you want to donate for a good cause, and we already have one person who's donated for a good cause. Let's see who this is. Mr. Anonymous, who donated $20, who asks, "Will Father Berks take confessions?"
Ooh.
No,
That could be a whole series, Berks.
no, my
That could be a whole
child.
thing. They could put that into law.
I will
law that he's an actual religious minister. And
I will. I would like to ask Berks' blessing when Father Berks' blessing when the pub is made though. I'd like Berks to bless the pub.
He is like, oh my god.
I mean, maybe I could be like one of those guys, like those bounty hunters who's also ordained, and he's like, would you like to confess anything before I get you? Something like that.
Yes.
But that's about it.
Yeah.
Every time you talk to someone, Berks, they give you a special spell, so to speak. That's just a button that nobody else has that's tied to your account, and it gives them like a buff, like 5% speed. So they only get it off you, and so just all these people come to you for blessings. It'd be hilarious.
All right, let's get started with the actual topic on hand. Citizencon. Advantages, goods and bads, your takeaways, your general takeaways. Execute. What's your goods and bads for Citizencon?
I did like the fact that it was digital and it was more inclusive. But I do think it came out thick and fast with not enough breaks. Excuse me. I think they should have probably cut it up into a couple of different sections. And I think my bad, so to speak, and I think it's been this way for a few years, it is really clear to me that Citizencon isn't predominantly for us. And what I mean by that is that it is mainly for CIG, for developers. And I kind of, and why I put that under the bad tag is that because we fund it, so to speak, a lot of the time, especially with things like what was it, 2018, 3.8 million in subscribers. So yeah, I don't know. That I just question that a lot. Yeah, like who is it for? I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Buster, goods and bads of Star Citizen, or goods and bads of Star Citizen, goods and bads of Citizencon.
Well, got a lot of answers for you. Good. Or first, let me start with my bads. First. First of all, I like my roommate had to she had a whole lot of anxiety about going to Europe yesterday because she was flying out, so I had to quit stream in the middle of everything. It was kind of a mess for me yesterday, but it was still fun. We still have fun. The 8 of you that watched my stream yesterday, thank you very much. And but we had a good time. We actually made a Buster's bar, things like that. So that was a good day overall. But I missed and so the other bad for me is, as a result of that, I missed a lot of Citizencon. I actually saw the keynote all the way through this keynote, and then I didn't see anything again till Tony Z. And I was just so busy yesterday. I had so much going on. But from what I did see, and I kind of caught up on some of it today, you know what I mean? But as far as what I actually saw, goods and bads, loved the Hedesian artifact. That got me. That was wonderful. I love that so much. That's something I've literally said for a long time now, is I would love for there to be missions and things based on finding artifacts from destroyed cultures, etc., and that we will eventually find in the game. And everything, obviously, keynote was beautiful. I was brought to tears a couple times, not cry tears, but just oh my god, that's so pretty. Oh, I can't keep it straight here. And then and Jared's always a big good for me at Citizencon. We all know this. And then the bads, as far as actual Citizencon go, I'm not gonna say Citizencon was boring. Don't worry, Captain Berks. But there's a lot of it that for somebody like me, I'm I don't understand what they're talking about, but cool. I'm really happy for them.
Yeah.
So I just like things to be cool.
How would you rate Jared's hair?
Progressively through the day, it was a 10, and then at the end of the day, it was an 11 because he only goes to 11.
He had that roadie look really down pat, didn't he?
Hey, I love and accept him in every which way he comes in. He is beautiful.
Biting my tongue again. That's twice I've had to bite my tongue. I can't, because the comedian me wanted to say, how often does he come? But you see, anyway.
But you said it anyways. Thank you, Execute.
That's improper.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is very improper. Because I'm improper, if you haven't figured that out anyway, sorry. I bit my tongue on the other one about the Asian artifact, so yeah.
The Hedesian? Yeah. All right, Berks. Goods and bads. You watched it with Morphologist and Anna and Subliminal, right? Yeah. So you were beat by beat with a couple other awesome content creators. So what is your takeaway? What were your takeaways?
So yeah, it's I understand that there were some boring parts of the con, right? Things that people weren't interested in. Here's the disconnect, right? Is when there was the in-person con, you got to choose which panel you went to, so you felt a little more connected to it, right? So you got to choose, am I going to go to the audio panel or am I going to go to the server meshing panel? So for me, it's I feel like there was this idea that Citizencon was supposed to be this super hype, crazy thing. And a lot of people are really disappointed because there was no, sandworm level hypeness. But I'm actually really excited about that. I'm really glad that they didn't decide to create, I guess, this overhyped fake kind of scripted. And understand there was a kind of scripted mission, but everything inside of it was pretty realistic. And I'm really pumped about that there wasn't this major crazy time sink of development spent on missions and assets that won't exist and may never exist in the game or might not exist for a long time. So for me, that's a huge win. That Citizencon was more realistic. It was more about the stuff they're working on right now. And people are well, why is there all this information we've already heard? And I think the reason why is because that's the stuff they're working on, and they're still working on, unfortunately, but that's just the reality. So I'd much rather have that than the the huge copium trailers. And it's like, this is Star Citizen, and this is all the stuff you can do. Have fleet battles and blah blah blah, all this stuff that doesn't really even happen in Star Citizen. So I was overall pleased with Citizencon and its less hype take.
Okay.
So that wasn't really good and bad, but that was kind of my general thoughts.
That's kind of your general thoughts. Was there anything that you would take away that you would say like notes for CIG in the future? Because I know you're a former video producer. You're a director and producer and stuff like that. So you have those kinds of things. What any notes you'd give them?
I think there definitely should have been more visuals, 100%, and more demo stuff for sure. Like in the audio panel, hey, this is the audio stuff. This is how it gets done. Here's an example. Here's some flyby sounds and stuff. I mean, who's ever complained about a good flyby clip? You know what I mean? Like, and people love that kind of stuff. But listening to like whatever it was, an hour and a half of this audio panel with like barely any demonstration, barely any cutaway, barely any visualization was really tough. And then in contrast to the server meshing panel, where it was very visual and they had laid out everything, and maybe they just didn't have time. But again, as much as I would have liked that, if that was really the reason, I much rather prefer the fact that there is less development time going into Citizencon and more development time going into the actual content of the game. That's just my take. So, but if they can add more visuals, that'd be great. It would make it a lot more. It would make it way better to ingest the information. And I think that everyone agree that the panels that had that visualization were better.
Execute. You're gonna step in on something.
I just wanted to agree with Berks. That's kind of what I meant about the comment about how the con is not so much for us. It's more for the development team. They're giving them a chance to speak and show off their work and stuff. It's not so much. Well, the fact that it wasn't even on last year kind of shows that as well. But everything Berks just said is kind of what I wanted to say, but he did it so much more elegantly than I ever could. So well said, Berks.
Chris. I agree with Nobifier. Continue.
Buster, you also are a stage manager. You do events like this for a living. So
I've done many in-person events. So like,
what would be your notes as someone who's also like in this kind of production field and has done theater and stuff like that? Was there anything you would note for CIG based off of?
I would mostly agree with Berks, like just some more visuals, just some more like visual cues to really like get people's attention, especially during panels that are so talkative. But it is what it is. I guess at the end of the day, visually, like everything looked beautiful, not just the gameplay and the demos and the concept art and things like that, but actually like the lighting. I really loved overall the work that went into framing these panels and making them look as good as they did. And the lighting, you can see Disco Lando all over the place with that, because he gets it. He gets that. And I guess like, I mean, my easy answer is more breaks, more like on the lot, like where somebody like Disco Lando was, or Jared, I should call him Jared. When things like when we got Jared, like Jared was kind of our one person that was live in that was on camera. And I would have wanted to not necessarily see more of him. I mean, that's my answer to that, but like just a bit more playfulness, like in between panels, and a bit more time between panels to have playfulness. And I loved and I was glad that they did the videos of the community stuff, because I thought that was one of the most exciting things about Citizencon, to be honest, was seeing what people are doing in game and around its lore and things like that, like everybody's creativity. So I would have liked to see more content like that, actually, of like, or like, going and not necessarily live, because I know they'd pre-record that, but it would be nice to like see maybe like people's parties, like them go live and say, hey, how are you guys? That kind of thing. I just wanted to see more direct connection with the community, because that's, at the end of the day, you can do all the ISC and tell me all the Star Citizen science all day long. But what I personally care most about as a member of this community is you guys out there. Like, I love seeing what y'all are doing, whether you're content creators, whether you're like somebody that I just happen to meet in game, or I meet at a bar citizen. I love this community and I love the people in it, and I just that's the thing that was missing for me, and it wasn't their fault that we were missing, right?
Yeah.
So
I think that more like longer breaks would have been nice too, but for a different reason. And
so
it was because,
people like you had time to
yeah, it was like 4 of us trying to give our input on a really complicated panel in like 5 minutes, it felt like.
Yeah.
Oh, I can imagine.
And it just, even for individual people's watching, like you need some time to chew. Like, I don't know how you go from like the like, this ship panel is cool because it was ships. It's pretty easy. Most of us got it. It was nice. Hype as hell. But then you go to like the what was it? The Gen 12 renderer, and I'm like, I don't understand half of this, and I have to then process what they're saying. All I heard was ray tracing. Ray tracing is coming to the game, which is like, oh yes, awesome. And SCLL, I think, or the two things I caught. DLSS, yeah. So I was like, oh, this is great, but it was just really hard to kind of like digest all of it because you only had like 5 minutes before boom, we moving on. We got to go places. Like, it was just super quick. And I had a hard time. I wasn't even streaming, and I was just like, at certain panels, I just can't do this right now. I need to go use the bathroom. I need to get something to drink. I'm going to talk to my wife. I'm going to check my phone. Like, this is interesting, but I cannot watch this right now, you know?
And me and you watched it together, Paul. We were in a Discord on the Infrunners, and we had a lot of the Infrunners there, and Space Tomato was dropping in between segments, and he'd just come into this cluster of communication sometimes because we would just very hot racily talking about it before we had to move on to the next one. And I think it's because they were like, oh, we're gonna have all these commercials by people, but they probably should have just had a 5-minute timer come up, that screen. They should have just had that come up, or even 15 minutes or something like that between each session would have been how I would have done it. But hindsight 2020, if they ever do it again,
I agree.
Then
I think these are just more notes for like critique for if they did this again. I don't think they will do this again, but if they ever find themselves in this kind of situation where they got to do it like this again, these are the things we would say.
I do want to point out, by the way, we're almost already halfway. If you look up the top, like it's almost 3.5 already.
Yep. I was going to say thank you to
if you ever. Oh, sorry.
Merrick Evans, who donated $20, says Church of Berks. AZ donated $150, says let's get it done. Black to Burn donated $200, said thanks. And Anonymous donated $5, said great job all. So we're at $3,440, and our goal is $4,000 to I guess all of us officiate the first wedding in Star Citizen. Berks is going to get ordained. He's going to go onto the website and get ordained or reordained. Buster is going to be the flower girl, and Execute's going to walk the bridegroom, pumpkin, whatever, down the aisle. I guess I'm doing drink services. I think that's what's going to happen.
You're catering.
I'm an event planner. We'll get this together. Don't worry.
In game. So we got this.
She'll probably get us all matching suits, Paul. You know that. Buster would give me you and Berks all looking the same. I don't know how she'll pull it off. But
it's going to be in game, so we'll find it out. We'll find out.
Even if I asked a question in chat too, I don't know if you're interested in answering.
Did you guys talk about the decision to launch?
To in chat. Oh, guys, I'm sorry. We're gonna have to change the plans.
The decision to launch.
She's taken by Jared, aren't you?
I didn't know I was going to marry you, Buster.
Yeah. You and Jared waiting 2023.
Oh my God, bless Jared's heart if his life ever came to that.
Did you guys talk about the decision to launch 315 when there were 30,000 people watching the show? Room emptied to 18K
I want to say
in 10
something
minutes.
about that. I literally said somebody. I want to say it was either here or it was somewhere. It was something I was on, or either on my show. I don't remember when I said it and how I said it, but what I do remember I said was somebody had asked me, "Do you think they're going to release 315 during Citizencon, and I literally said no because they would pull like half the attention off of Citizencon in a heartbeat if they did that. I literally said that like less than a week ago.
It should have done it at the
Buster,
end. It should have been the last thing Chris Roberts said. That would have been the hypest thing that would happen.
Yeah.
Chris Roberts ending it and Jared or someone saying, by the way, 315 is live.
So I actually asked that of you, Buster, when I was watching your stream the other day. It was me that asked that of you.
Oh,
and that's
it was.
what you said. Yeah.
I got hair stuck to me. Yeah. But yeah, that was you. Yeah, and I literally remember I told you, I'm like, no, they won't do that.
And I was like, they've done it like 3 times before, Buster. They're gonna do it again.
Maybe they didn't do it with Chris at the end because they didn't know it was going to be live when they filmed it.
Yeah.
And the camera. So, as a ex director of photography / cinematographer, I could really tell that whatever camera they were using for those presentations, big money camera. Like, I'm talking about, it was probably like a big money camera. And then, the Jared's camera is like what they film I see on every week. So it's probably just something they filmed. They filmed Jared's segments probably much after the Citizencon segments. So
those were live.
Jared was live.
Jared was live.
Jared was live? Yeah, Jared was live, yeah.
So for those you don't know, Chris, or so
I didn't know
he read Twitch chat a while.
I did not know he was live.
Disco Lando was actually here during the last panel. He just popped in. So he was just hanging out. And he actually said that those sections were live. Him talking was live. One of the things he did say was that a lot of the sections, the reason why a lot of the panels seem like a lot of people talking, and there's some weird cuts and stuff, some of those things, is because they just ran out of time. And I was sitting there going like, I've done enough YouTube stuff, and I'm sure Berks and Buster and Execute, you all can like, you get to that point where if you're editing a YouTube video or just any video, and you sit there and go, I've got a deadline. I'm hard up against this deadline there. Is it good enough? Foof. I could spend about 40 minutes working on this, getting this B-roll right and getting all this stuff, or I can just get it done.
Just get it done, baby.
Isn't there a saying about that? Something like art is never done or something like that. But anyway,
yeah.
Well, art is never done, but when you got a deadline, something's got to be done. So
it takes a lot longer to encode a YouTube video at 4K than you think too. That's what Jared was just saying. It's like processing it, exporting it, processing, uploading it, waiting for it to code. All of that stuff takes hours, days. Yeah, there's 8 videos of that.
We've had info on episodes that go for like an hour and a half, and they take like 3 hours to go up. And ours are small by comparison when you do it in 1080p. So I can only imagine a 4K one. Not just to mention the upload too. You'd be talking with like a 20 gig plus file in some of those cases. Yeah,
it's not easy. Okay, so let's go into the next section. Let's see the highlights. I would say just like things you can pick out from there, things that you say and go, that was my favorite section part of Citizencon. Berks, your favorite just moment of Citizencon, a moment or a panel?
Yeah, I think it was 2 things. First of all, really cool getting a lot of good confirmation on server meshing, because I had to like fight people tooth and nail for a long time on stuff that I pretty much already knew. Not because I'm like a server super genius, but just because it made sense, which was that there was no way that we were going to be single shard, right? Like right now, we're literally limited by the laws of physics. Like you cannot have communication between servers, talk fast enough to have 10,000 people in the same spot and all this high fidelity rendering. It just doesn't work. We would have to have some major technological breakthrough to make that happen, or some sort of crazy back-end wizardry. And we don't have that right now. So getting 10,000 people in the same spot was just never going to happen. So therefore, they needed to do multiple shards or instances, whatever you want to call them, right? But it was cool getting confirmation on that. And then the other thing was I really loved the mission stuff that they did, both because it felt realistic and because we got a really cool look into the bases and some new spots that look really interesting. So I really like the idea of having these high value items like that artifact that they showed off. I would love to see how stuff like that plays out in the future, along with items that maybe are somewhere in between stuff that you get out of crates in a bunker and that artifact, right? Like somewhere in between, like a couple 100,000. I would love to see like levels of loot. And I think that artifact kind of shows what a possibility like that could be for. I don't know.
My only thought was, I want that guy's leg. You know, the just like I've got a prosthetic limb. I don't know where I got this from.
I'm gonna get that leg.
And welcome all you raiders from Cobra TV.
Welcome everyone from Cobra TV. Yes, thank you. And the subscriptions and all sorts of things. Right now we're trying to raise money for Doctors Without Borders. We've raised $3,440. We're trying to get to $4,000, and the incentive right now is that Captain Berks, Buster, Execute, and I will Berks will officiate. Buster and Execute will help, and I will apparently cater the first in-game wedding for Star Citizen.
And Berks is going to get ordained to do that. That's the big thing.
Yeah, he's going to get ordained to do it. Reordained. Apparently, he used to be ordained. So we've got Father Berks, Brother Berks, and then the rest of us.
Maybe we should make it that the biggest donation can pick the church that he gets ordained under.
I don't know if you can pick. There's only some you can do
Church
online.
Of what? Church of Banu? Like
yeah. All right. So yeah, let's go over Buster. Favorite moment, highlight, best moment.
What do you think, Paul? What do you think my favorite moments were?
Is Jared, all the Jared moments,
yes.
and then between the
Jared,
but
like I said, the Hadesian artifact just blew my mind. I thought that was one of the most beautiful things, and I'll tell you why. Okay, other than what I said earlier, like I've always wanted something like that in Star Citizen. It's like, I know this is a game that's in the future. You know, it's all sciencey, spacey, yada 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 yada, but there's something about art, like things like that in the game that are just like borderline magical.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like the way it looked, and I just immediately saw a Venefica headdress, kind of, or not headdress, but like kind of thing. I saw that being like, oh, when I do Venefica, I should try to get something made that looks like that, because I almost had a crown of crystals last year. It just didn't come in time. And it was exactly that color. And it was like, you know. But anyway, I really enjoyed, like I said, I missed so much of it, but I caught up a lot on today. And I mean, as far as ship talk went, like I always just like seeing the guys talk about ships, but I'm like one of those people in Star Citizen. I just don't get hyped for ships the way the rest of y'all do. I like ships, but I haven't bought myself a ship in like almost 2 years. Every ship I've bought in the last 2 years has been for the community. Not that I bought many of them, but it's like I don't have the budget to go around buying myself ships, and it's like I can really want a ship, but it just, for me, it's like it's just something that's gonna hurt my wallet anyway. So I don't know, but it's the you know, the keynote, the clouds, all that. I'm probably going to do my nails later with like a copper and a teal tone. So, I mean, I just like seeing, and Top Happy's eyes. I mean, Top Happy's eyes are always a highlight.
You got to do a trill one day, Buster. I'd like to see as a trill.
God, that's so much makeup all over my body.
Yeah.
Says the person who does.
It's so we can imagine where it goes, Buster. That's what it's all about.
You better use your imagination, because
exactly.
You can't do anything else.
By the way, have you heard stories about that makeup? The actresses who played talked about how like every time they leaned on something, that makeup would smudge off on all of the sets.
Oh yeah. And everybody's, you know, to go on a little quick tangent, everybody has an opinion about the Ferengi makeup right now, and I am just over it.
I like it.
It's good makeup. It's good makeup. It looks good. If you don't like it, cool. You don't have to go be
the new Ferengi. The new Ferengi. Yeah, it's great.
The new Ferengi. Yeah,
it's great. You know, it's fine.
I haven't seen it yet, so I guess I'll see it later. I'll go check that out.
It's a good interpretation of Ferengi. You know.
Yeah. No, I think it's actually closer to the original concept art. But going back to Star Citizen though, I love the personalities of the community and the developers. So I always find the most like their little jokes during the keynote, their little cute jokes I thought were just precious. You know, I like seeing the personality of the people that make this game because you can see where it gets inserted into the game and in a good way. So
Execute, highlight, best moment, things stood out to you.
I think kind of like what Berks said about the landing zone, kind of like how they there was a bit of a build up. It was a more developer-y conference where they kind of build it up to that whole, and the different ways they took out, approached that level, or the compound, whatever you want to call it, the outpost. I liked that. It actually showed off some gameplay, even at its most very basic level. Just the different approaches that you could come at attaining the artifact. I found that very interesting. And I kind of have to agree with Noobifire in chat. Yeah, the Liberator and the Banner Merchantman were big for me as well. And I know you predicted the Liberator as well. And I know you know SA fairly well. SA and those military boys had been predicting that a ship like that for a while as well. So to actually see it come to fruition was interesting.
Yeah, for those who don't know, I accidentally predicted that. I wasn't expecting to. For months, I've been talking about a Ro-Ro ferry. For those who know like ferries with like car ferries essentially, where you can like roll on, roll off, mixed with helicopter landing docks, which are these marine helicopter aircraft carriers. And I said that's what's going to be needed because of just the sheer size and scope of Star Citizen post server meshing. You're just going to need something like that to move large groups of people. And it's like, but this is like 2 years away. So CIG just said, cool, here's this ship that's going to come out in 2 years. Buy it for $600. It's like, okay, not anticipating that. Not anticipating CIG listening like that. Okay.
I do want to point out that it actually is slated as a light carrier, so I still think there's room for a medium carrier. So calling that now. So you got bigger things like the Bengal and the Kraken and the Idris, but I actually think there's something in the middle there. The thing I'm thinking of is something akin to like a sky crane that just kind of like picks up ships with tractor beams off its arms and just flies, but we'll see what happens. But there's definitely room for something to move broad numbers of ships, because this is just tiny pads for fighters and vehicles. So there's definitely something there to move en masse a fleet, so to speak.
Yeah, and I don't think it has to be combat oriented like the Bengal, right? I think there could be like an Idris-sized ship, or I know a lot of people are going to say the Kraken, but the Kraken is combat oriented. Yeah. I think there could be essentially a Kraken or like an Idris or whatever, but it's like literally meant to move ships, because I think people are going to be surprised. I didn't like love the Liberator specifically. I thought it was a really cool looking ship. I love ships. Any ship that doesn't look like an airplane, I'm a big fan of, because I think it's really cool whenever they break outside that box. Personally,
you know how
I think that's why the Cartois was always my favorite in the beginning, like when I first, because it's just so odd, compared to so much in the game.
You know how I don't know what it's like in the States, but do you guys have those trucks that like transport new cars to like showrooms and stuff?
Yes, I was literally just thinking of that.
Yeah,
so it's basically
it's that, but for ships is what I'm saying. So it's got no combat potential. It's just basically
the truck driver doesn't have a shotgun.
So I just think that people are going to be surprised, like what you're saying, Paul, when the server, well, not the server, but the universe gets bigger. Like you're not just going to be able to pull your ship out anywhere for free and teleport it across these systems. You'll have to get it delivered, whether that's an NPC or a player doing it. Someone's going to have to do it.
Have you seen how annoying it is have you always seen how annoying it is already in the PTU patch to do that already?
Yeah,
like I was like, God damn it, this is driving me nuts. Like I had to fly all the way back to somewhere just to pick up a paint for a ship.
Yeah, and the difference I think will be it's going to be a reclaim fee and not a it's going to be a transfer fee and not a reclaim fee, right?
Yeah,
agreed.
So, and it's going to take time, longer than a reclaim fee.
It'll take time,
And also, if you have an Aurora, like how long does it take for you to get from, or just say even a Hornet? How long does it take you to take a Hornet from Hurston to Microtech? fast. You're gonna have to stop and get gas all over the place. So if you want to get fuel efficient and pay for less gas, and get there faster, fuel efficient, get there faster, then you can just hop onto something like a Liberator, and the Liberator will take you from point A to point B. A Ro-Ro ferry. It's the same kind of idea.
Yeah.
Getting people to where they need to go without you having to pay an arm and a leg with fees and all these other things for your ships. So.
And I wanted to add two things. One of them is related to the Liberator. First, when I saw the Liberator, when I like I said, I didn't get to watch the panel, but I saw the images of the Liberator later. The first thing I thought of was like those what are those scoop things called when like your dust, like the dustpan? It's not a dustpan for a
dustpan and broom.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, I want to just scoop everybody up all the time with that thing. Like that just seems like the trolley thing to do with that ship. But overall, I agree with Berks. Like, I really like the design of it. I thought it was really pretty. And then the other thing I wanted to say, and this is another note about Jared, is he made a good joke about the best ship in Star Citizen being him and Jay Lee. And I made that joke the night before at Bar Citizen when they asked me what my ship was. And so I was very proud.
That is the best ship of CIG.
He knows. I'm always in fashion.
Jared. Yes.
I don't think
other than friendship.
Yeah, of course. Friendship drive charging, of course. Yeah. So I don't think people are expecting, or I guess CIG is expecting for people are going to start thinking about using the Liberator as a ship jacking ship. I didn't even think about that till just now, but
yeah,
I mean,
the military, that's what the military guys were kind of planning what it is. It's almost like a temporary deployment base that you could almost have hovering just outside. So, instead of bringing a whole Kraken, you can bring in a couple of those and they can just fly off down to the surface and then come back and land on it and go back again. So it's kind of like a short-term deployment platform.
You could do that, or if you're in space, literally scoop up someone's ship and fly away with it.
Yeah,
because you just open up the hangar and just nom. Yeah. I was also thinking like people like, oh, well, it doesn't have refueling and repairing options. It's got 400 units of cargo. Like, just bring some hand stuff along, if they have some sort of hand refueling or repairing. Like,
there's a section of this community that's mad at me now for putting that idea in Berks's head.
The way I like to call this is that I don't think this is going to be a ship for everyone. I don't think Liberator is going to be a ship for everyone. But I do think it's going to be like the friend who has a pickup truck when you need to move. You're going to want to have a friend with a Liberator. So you don't want to know somebody with a Liberator because they're going to get you to places with large amounts of stuff. It's going to be
the Ford Ranger of the verse. You can put anything on it. You could stack it up to 3 times its height, and it's still going to be good.
This is going to sound a little weird. Oh, I was going to say just real quick. It's also going to be really interesting to fly because there's very few ships that are off to one side and in a weird position. And so this one is the first one that's off to the front right-hand side, which actually makes it the complete opposite of the Caterpillar. And I don't know about other people, but one of the things I really do love in this game is flying some of the weird ships. Caterwell's another one of them. Especially
I love an asymmetrical
when they're
ship.
weird. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the Caterpillar is a really interesting ship to fly. So I am very interested just to see how this flies because even just pulling into a hangar is very strange because you've got all your mass hanging off to one side.
Yeah,
it just makes it unique to land. Sorry, Berks, about that. Go ahead.
No. That's an interesting point. I was gonna say I wouldn't be surprised if this medium Liberator size ship that comes in the future wouldn't even be automated, like where you could hop on one at Everest Harbor, it takes you to the jump point and then to the like you fly your Arrow or whatever onto it, like there's like trams that come at certain times a day. I wouldn't be surprised.
Cool.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if there's something like that.
I honestly don't think I think a Liberator will be like that. I think there'll be NPCs with Liberators that you can just be like, hey, you want to go on this ferry? We're going to Nyx, hop on,
Or people might start doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like an org might be like, hey, we pick people up at 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 p.m.
Ships of people who do it.
Totally might happen.
Yeah. Well, we know it's gonna happen with the NPCs because the NPCs have to be able to run that simulation type thing. but in my head, the ship itself is literally just a thing that kind of folds out, and it's kind of got like 4 tractor beams in a box formation on each side. And it can basically pick up small ships, or using 2 tractor beams, it can just pick up something like a Retaliator. But there has to be something that moves at least medium, you know, like a Constellation style size ship, up, I think up to there. And then the ships that are larger than that, they unfortunately they just have to be taken by hand or a one-off. So I think there is definitely a room.
Pay someone to move it for you.
Yeah, and someone might do that because that falls under the cargo hauling mandate. I can't remember what they call it. Free something.
I don't know
cargo.
how true this is, but someone said apparently at one point there was a mock-up or a concept for the Hull C or one of the Hull series to be able to haul ships. So
they did, but you had to pack them back into a cargo box, and it just carried the cargo box. They did talk about like putting an Aurora into a cargo box. I remember that years ago.
Got it. Yeah, I didn't know if it could be like something as large as a Carrack, but yeah, who knows? I mean, the thing is like right now, the amount of ships that outnumber humans is crazy, right? Like,
yes,
I think that, I mean, probably the average number of ships that a citizen has is probably like, you know, if you count in-game ships, probably 10. You know, it's got to be high. I mean, maybe it's not that high, but I mean, it's got to be more than 2 or 3.
Oh, I'll throw another thing at you, Berks and Paul, while we're both here. It also puts renting into a really big perspective for me, because in the world currently, we don't just take our car and, you know, fly off to Africa and use our car when we get there, but we do on a short trip. But generally, like if I was to come over to Texas where you guys are, I would just hire a car.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to have to, you're gonna have to be able to modify the rentals and stuff for that to be a thing. But I don't know, you correct me if you think I'm wrong.
No, I think something like that will happen for sure as well. Let's move on to let me see. Move on to the questions and answers. I guess we're waiting for Buster to show up. Come back. Let me pull
she just while she's not here, is she filming this whole thing inside a closet?
Like possibly. I mean, yeah. It's good acoustics sometimes, man. I have been inside closets before for my stream setups. Literally, my last stream setup in my last place was a closet. So, I get it. All right. So the first question, I'm gonna kind of roll through this, is from Alex the Droog, who asks, "What announced feature do you not want in the game?" They use an example of pets.
Pooping.
Thank you. God, no, I don't want pooping.
Here's the deal. It's like it's like every time I bring this up, people are always like, "Oh, but I want to." They always go the meme route, and I'm like, "That's my point, right?" And what happened to like? It's like I don't want to become the meme for that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like there becomes a point of realism where realism crosses a line, and you start becoming unimmersive. Something is so realistic that it's now unimmersive, right? Yeah. Because you are pulling yourself out of this environment that you have put yourself into back into the real world. I don't want to wash dishes in Star Citizen, you know?
No.
Like there's certain lines that you don't want to cross. And I think going to the restroom is one of them.
Have you ever played Ark, Berks? Because that's probably the game that's most recognizable for pooping for me.
I'd say Scum. Scum is the most recognizable.
Scum does it as well. Yeah. But there are like if you can build proper gameplay around it. My biggest concern is just how annoying some of those buffs and debuffs are going to be. But I must admit, at the moment they're fairly muted, and I would kind of hope they stay that way personally. I don't like, one of the things I hated initially was dying because I was out at an event because I didn't bring a bottle of water with me. You know, and yes, I do realistically think we will have to keep our ships stocked with food and drink. Like, I think that is a thing, and yeah, we probably should have to do that. But I don't want to have to like at the moment I can't do that. So I think they do need to be a bit nerfed, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the eating and drinking is pretty non-existent at the moment. Like, not that I want it to be, but at the moment it is. they've turned it down severely.
Yeah. Right place, right time. And that's the other thing, like even at the moment with how they've brought in the the inventory system and that you have to actually go to a place. One of the annoying things for me that I've picked up already is you can't load. So say I buy a bunch of components, I can't load them back into my, say, MSR into the actual cargo bay and then take them back to where all my other ships are at the other location. I have to bring them one at a time over to the new location and outfit them all. That is annoying as hell.
Buster, first question we're asking, what announced feature do you not want into the game?
What were the announced features? Help me out a little bit.
All of Star Citizen? Just in general.
Oh, and all of Star Citizen?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm the kind of person who, like, I mean, I heard Berks saying, like, he did, like, something about, like, kind of, I think kind of what Berks was sort of saying is, like, where's the line between reality and fun?
Yeah.
A little bit to summarize it.
Yep.
And so I heard his comment about dishwashing. Sure, nobody wants to watch dishes in a video game because, there's enough of it to do in real life. But like for me, there's actually a lot of things that I would like more of. Like I look at something like a Carrack or an 890 that have functional kitchens, and I'm like, well, if you're on a long haul, you do have to find a way to make food because, especially on an 890, because think about it, that is high class, like luxury travel. You can't give them like, as much as I love the Buster's bar and I think it's super classy, you can't just put a Buster's bar on a plate and hand it to them and be like, yeah, there you go. So I don't know, like, I mean, pooping maybe, but
that's exactly what Burke said, by the way.
Yeah, I lost audio in and out a little bit, so I didn't hear that. But maybe the pooping. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what will be a feature that I don't want.
Well, here's the deal, right? Is the argument is like, oh, and I'm okay with hygiene. Like, if there's a hygiene thing, like, oh, you went on this planet, wash yourself up. Oh, you like hear because the showers and the bathrooms are pretty combined usually. So you hear the shower go off, and you hear a flush, and you step out like 5 seconds later. That's fine, right? But I think it crosses a line when people are like, oh, well, you have to go to the bathroom to keep your reputation up because it's like a charisma thing. Okay, so you're telling me if I'm in the middle of a Vandal raid and I'm saving my teammates' lives out there, and I have to leave this raid to go to the bathroom because it lasted too long, that they're going to be like, oh yeah, go to the bathroom. We would rather you go to the bathroom than poop your pants and save our lives.
Don't risk,
like, it doesn't make any sense.
You think too much.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's just like, but the thing is like, people are like, oh, well, you'd have to like eat and drink too. But the thing is I feel the same way about eating and drinking. I think eating and drinking should be buffs and debuffs, not death. Like, I think that you should drink and maybe even like you become vision impaired, but you stay vision impaired for a while. And the reason why I feel this way is because the same thing. It's interrupting gameplay. I don't think the penalty for not drinking for an hour should be death. I don't think that makes any sense to me. Unless, here's where I disagree with myself. Unless you are going somewhere specifically where it's very hot and you don't have the right equipment.
There's environmental effects.
Environmental effects are the difference. I feel like there. I think that it should be extremely increased. Absolutely.
The term you're looking for, Berks, is unforeseen consequences.
Yeah.
So basically, like if you don't drink for ages and then all of a sudden you find you're on a desert planet, and because it realizes that you haven't drunk, then it exacerbates that situation and makes it worse. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I've got one more here that I just thought of. And you and I talked about this, Paul. And Buster just reminded me of it. But from the vote when they did the 4 ships or the 4 vehicles or ships, the new bigger, better Carrack. If they make another ship now that surpasses the Carrack, I think that's going to piss a lot of people off.
Oh yeah.
And knowing them, they'll release it at like whatever the price the Carrack is, so you can't CCU to it just to piss everyone off. But like if they literally have done all that work on it, and if it's a competitor, that is totally, I can kind of live with that. But do we need it? No. But if it's heaps bigger, I don't know. I kind of put that as a question back to you guys. You give me your thoughts now.
About the bigger, better Carrick?
Yeah.
That you basically just don't want that?
No, I don't think it's a good idea, personally. We've got the Carrick. Why do we need something bigger and better when it's meant to be the penultimate?
Okay. Do you want me to answer that question? Because you know what the answer to that question is.
I know what the answer to the question is, Paul.
It's leafy, it's leafy, it's greeny, and it keeps them open. That's the answer. And people will buy ships.
Weed. They want lots of weed and drugs.
Weed,
right? Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. I just to think that they've gone to all that work and the Carrick is a fan favorite and they're going to bank on that. That I don't know. That seems a little wrong to me.
I'm going to add into that. Here's the thing: is I'm sorry, and I love you, Carrick owners. Don't think I'm talking shit, but I'm going to talk a little shit. Y'all are obnoxious for like a year and a half. Ha!
It was kind of obnoxious. People have been asking. I've seen people in chat being like, "What's with the Carrick hate?" And it's like it's because it was a meme that was done to death for a year. Gib Carrick was funny, and then it became annoying, and then y'all got the ship, and then a lot of people got tired of it. I don't personally care because apparently I'm the guy who created the fucking MPUV meme. I don't. People blame me specifically for it, which is funny because it's like I didn't do anything except saying like I think it would be an interesting thing because the MPUV is cool, but
I mean, I think
you're probably the place people heard it first.
Yeah.
I mean, but in all honesty, and without being silly like I was a moment ago, I mean, why wouldn't there be something bigger than the Carrick? Why wouldn't there be something that's an exploratory ship that supports a larger crew? I just feel like
wouldn't it be the Endeavor?
Yeah, that's what I thought too, Berks. Yeah,
that's a good point. I don't keep up with the ones that aren't out yet. But no, that you're right. You're right, actually.
I don't think it's going to be a direct competitor because we actually talked about this. Like because it's a MISC ship. It's a Musashi Industrial and Starflight Concern ship. What would a MISC Explorer look like? And my first thought was a surveyor. It's going to be its job. Its job is to go in and find the minerals, find the money, find the wildcat oil rig guys going out there trying to find that oil in the Gulf of Mexico, and they find it. They stake that claim. They start pumping that stuff out right away.
Yeah, it's like the Carrick is like a Federation explorer, whereas like the MISC explorer is like a Ferengi explorer.
Mm-hmm. And I could see that 100% working like that. Whereas the Carrick is designed for like you're exploring large spaces. You're looking for jump points. MISC doesn't care. They're scanning that planet for the dankest mineral deposits they can find, and they're going to drain it dry. That kind of thing.
I can actually see a ship that kind of like shoots things into the surface of planets to like scan them to find minerals and stuff, and it shoots them into asteroids to find out the composition. So yeah, we have talked about scanning quite a bit on Infrunners, Paul, and that is definitely that could be really unique. Actually, now you've brought that up.
Yeah,
that's really.
It's a MISC ship, so like I don't know what MISC would be doing for. Other than the one weird racing ship, it's mining and transport. That's what they do. So
Yep.
Unless it's a racing exploration ship that's the size of a Carrick, that would be hilarious. All right,
get you there really fast to that ore.
Yeah, let's move on to the next question. Ash Rackham asks, "Have you considered the Liberator as a platform for industry?" Yeah, I think it'd work.
Like moving cargo?
Yeah, or like building things, or like, for instance, you could say take a Liberator and turn it into a mining platform where you've got like a mole and prospectors and you can fly them off that.
Then you can fit a mole on it pretty easily, as far as I can tell. So yeah, I mean, you could fit multiple rocks, a prospector, and a mole on it. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it'd be a really great mobile base. Depending on how you can store fuel, it could be a really great mobile base.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't think you can fit a mole on a tiny platform. You can only fit it on a small, but I could be wrong. But
I saw a picture of someone has already pulled like the in-game files. Or
is
something.
that a rule? Is that a it fits it sits, or is that
yes?
It
it's a fits it sits. It's a
so that's I'm talking about like actually landing on the pad and being able to be repaired or resupplied. Is what I'm talking about. Sorry.
I don't know, like, but the question is if it attaches to the physics grid, does it have that capability?
Whether they leave that in by the final game is anyone's guess at this point.
Because for a while, you could attach a Caterpillar to the physics grid of an 890, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying though. But technically, in an 890, they're two tiny pads. That where the Polaris has one small pad, not two tinies. So there has to be a benefit to actually having a small over two tinies, and I think it's going to be that the actual you can sit it there, but it just can't be resupplied because it's too big. And they might even do other things like put barriers.
They'd have to manually cut it off, I think, because I think all the landing gear fits on it, and it fits without clipping into the ship at all.
Yeah.
So aside from that,
I saw pictures of.
So let's say there's no mole, right? You could fit 3 prospectors on it.
Yeah, or 4, 5. Yeah. You can put 5 prospectors on it if you want to, because the inside has 2. The inside hangar is 2 small hangars. So
and we haven't even got into hot swapping either. Yeah. You could just have one, and there's like 9 prospectors cycling through, dropping their shit off. Like that's pretty nuts. You know.
Yeah.
So and also just using it to resupply fighters in a fight, I can see that as well. You know, like a whole squadron of fighters just going through one.
Yeah, the hangar is just for resupply, and then the pads could be to actually resupply them.
Yeah,
that would be pretty cool.
There's a reason why it's got so much cargo, because it's going to probably have a lot of repair parts and ammo and whatnot for those ships and vehicles.
It liberates the people to do what they need to do.
It frees the shit out of them.
I find it funny that it was the same name as the skin of the Valkyrie, because the Valkyrie's got a Liberator skin, yeah.
Yeah, the Valkyrie Liberator, whatever. My brain.
I just find that great marketing they could have had there. They could have had a Liberator skin, and they didn't take it up. But anyway,
I'm gonna. Moving on to the next question. Midnight Black SC asks, I have a C2 that can hold about 700 SCU or some vehicles. The Liberator can hold 400 and a lot more vehicles. Price notwithstanding, is there any reason why I shouldn't upgrade?
You can answer that real quickly. Are you more into cargo or more into combat? And that kind of basically, or more into vehicles, I should say, than combat. And that answers your own question.
Yeah. I think on top of that as well, you got to think about it as the Liberator is also not going to be coming out for another 2 years. And it's easily. And on top of that, its role is very different. You don't necessarily
not going to be in combat at all.
No. Whereas the C2, you could probably fight in it. You know, like definitely could fight in it now. So,
I fought a fully crewed M2 the other day in live.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it was terrifying.
The M2 has more guns than the state of Texas on its bottom side. It has insane amounts of guns for just hitting things, you know?
And that's not even including the A2, right? Which is even more stacked.
So, like,
I think you could fight with the Liberator, though. But it's not the Liberator itself, because that's more of a defense platform with the auto turrets. But the ships on it, they can take off and shoot stuff if they're combat ships.
Totally.
It depends what you have on it. It's a Swiss Army knife there in a way.
It is. It's utility ship.
Absolutely.
Can I just add that CIG missed a very, very, very excellent opportunity to call instead of calling it the A2, it could have been the B-52. You know, it's just
or the B2.
And you would have had a band on it singing Rock Lobster all the time or something. It would have been great.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that the Liberator is still going to be target practice. You know, it's not going to want to stay in combat, I think. But
no.
I don't know. I see that as more of a ship that one person is going to be flying multiple ships around. But if you're using it as a ship that you have 5 people on there and they're all available to take off and land and be available, and absolutely. But I think the M2 is more defensible with smaller crews. If you ask me,
you do know it's got that room on the front right, Berks, the jump room. It's like you know in the Valkyrie, there's the room where the people can sit in the jump seats.
Yeah,
it's got one of those rooms for like all the troops or whoever are on there. So it's kind of like a Valkyrie.
How many people?
Instead of
16.
I think 16.
Wow.
Yeah. So so it's the same thing. So instead of troops and cyclones, it's like the next level up. So it's all tanks and.
And I might be changing my answer here, honestly.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It relies a lot more on more people. The Liberator does. I like the Liberator. And a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's going to make the Hercules superfluous," and it's like, no, the Hercules still has its role. It also doesn't require an army to run. But if you're running a Liberator, especially like with as its purpose is like a deployment vessel for troops for armies, yeah, you're gonna have a lot of people.
Well,
like
now I'm thinking of like, if it has 16 jump seats, now I'm thinking of like you could literally use it for ground assaults or like
that's
planetary assaults.
That's what it's designed for. That's what that hangar is originally designed for, is to hold tanks, Novas.
So one of the things that happens on Infront is all these speculations go on between multiple people's heads, and you come up with some just what appears crazy on the surface ideas that just become really amazing. And honestly, I remember talking about this in the chat with the Liberator straight off the bat, and people like would just go into weird places. If you remember when we were talking about the M2 versus the Liberator, and I said, "Oh, that's a nail in the coffin," and then someone said, "Well, not really, because if you think about it, the M2 kind of doesn't to change its role, where this would be almost akin to the Retaliator. So on the weekend, it'll be doing the combat stuff, and then on the weekdays, it's the taxi driver, or it's just taking vehicles and ships around." So it does have a dual function if you think about how you know what I'm talking about. We've talked about this before.
Yeah,
I know I've kind of vagued it a bit, but you know what I'm talking about.
I'm going to move on with this next question. I'll start with you, Captain Berks, and move around. I'm going to step off and use the restroom real quickly. But Ash Rackham asks, do you think that a personal item insurance like they have in Escape from Tarkov would be a good idea for Star Citizen? Yes or no?
Yeah,
be right back.
Absolutely. I've already talked about this, and I think it should work the same way, where this is the same way that salvage has to work in the future, and I'll tell you why. Because of insurance fraud, essentially, right? So, and this is the same way that insurance claims should work in the future. If you were able to A, recover, or B, if you recover it, you should get a huge discount. But if nobody loots it, yes. If nobody loots it, then you get your insurance back. If someone loots your stuff, then it needs to be A, much more expensive, or B, it needs to be where you can't get it back at all. And the reason for that is otherwise it literally can't be valuable to do salvage, as well as looting people's items. They're hand in hand.
My brain goes to the next place, Berks, but do you then mark the other person as a criminal because they've stolen his shit? Or do they, like, is your gun serialized so they can, if that ever comes back up into the system, that they can be criminally marked for it?
Here's the question, right? Is stealing your stuff the crime, or is killing you the crime, right? And I think that probably the events leading up to them taking your stuff is probably where they need to get charged, not the actual action of taking their stuff. Because what is that thing that they say in The Expanse? You know, it's a legitimate salvage. Yeah. And I could totally see where situations like that pop up in Star Citizen. So I don't know. Is the answer maybe salvage is not allowed in some systems? But that kind of sounds lame, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I'll give you. Can I just give you an someone put this scenario to me the other day, and I think it's relevant here, Berks. You can shoot me down if it's not. But someone was talking about how, like, you know how you got all your sub flare or your gold pistols or your gold sniper rifle, like all your flary stuff. That people are now going to be able to take that, and they don't. Like, I've got people that are like, I'm not going to want to use that stuff for someone to be able to steal it from me. I paid, multiple thousands of dollars to be able to get access to this gold sniper rifle, and some guy can just kill me and take it. So where does that come into it, Berks? What's your thoughts on that? Like, does that automatically come with insurance?
Yeah. So some of the stuff you paid real money for, which is why I don't think you should be able to buy components with real money. And I know that people already have, but I think what they should do is salvagers should know and scavengers should know. This is a subscriber item. Well, you can keep it as a collectible, but it's not worth anything. You're not going to be able to take it and sell it anywhere. I think that real money items should be devalued, like with in-game currency. And the reason for that.
Go ahead.
You need to tell him after this. Sorry, I interrupted, but yeah, Paul, you need to tell him after this.
Yeah, and the reason for it is because if you don't, people will use it as an exploit to make infinite money, like that, and that's just bottom line. People will do it, and you can't just rely on people's good faith not to do that stuff.
Tell me what? Execute.
So about the subscriber flare, how they're going to make it a rep-based system, and you can actually rebuy them at shops in the verse.
Yeah, eventually you will be able to rebuy them.
Fix for it. Yeah,
that's their fix. Yeah, that was one of the things.
But my whole fix is though, like that means you've got to have a shop in every damn system. That's insane.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Just for this sub flare stuff, it seems so convoluted.
Well, you don't have to have it in every system. You can say that it's in the closest system that has one of these shops. That could be 4 systems away. If you're in the middle of Pyro, I don't expect them to have a shop in the middle of Pyro. That shop is on Hurston, and I got to go there. You know, that's a I screwed up and now I got to make that trip. Do I really want that laser knife? That laser knife is very important to me. I'm gonna go for it. Otherwise, c'est la vie. You know, Buster, your thoughts on the idea of a personal insurance on items? Good idea, bad idea?
Good. I mean, why not? It makes sense. And you know, I mean, I don't have anything amazing to add to this. I thought that Berks' comments on like kind of the way it works in Tarkov is exactly it. I think that's just good game. You know, it's just a good mechanic to have to make players know that, hey, if I lose something, I can get it back. Like it's not the end of the world. Because some of us, you know, we really cherish some of those things that we've gotten over the years, right? And having to, like, you know, especially with the idea of the subscriber flare, you know, that's the only thing that could be problematic, and it sounds like it's gonna be fine. So there you go, everybody. You can calm your tits. Fine.
Paul,
by the way,
you had anyone try to gift you a redeemer yet?
Nope.
I've had 3 people in the last 24 hours try and gift me a 400i. No to every single one.
What? I'm prettier than you. Why did they try to gift it to me?
Give it to Buster.
You don't have enough hair, Buster. That's what it is. It's the beard. That's what it is. I'm the opposite of Berks. He's got it all up top. I've got it all down bottom. That's basically it.
Wait, what?
Okay.
Wait, what?
Whoa! I did not want to hear about your bottoms. I don't want to hear about your bottoms.
I have to give Berks credit though. He is one of the few people in the world that still does the pompadour and does it well. So.
There we go.
You're welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
By the way, Voodoo Child IRL donated $20 to the fund. We're still at $3,460. So if you want to join us, you know, helping out.
I don't know if we're going to get there. We're only got an hour to go left now, don't we? Is it an hour?
About an hour, yeah.
Yeah. All right. No, well, maybe we're not going to get there. That's fine.
All right.
Maybe my idea was horseshit.
It got people to donate so far, so that's good. Ash Rackham asks, has anyone on the panel taken all of the in-game drugs and staggered around and passed out yet?
So let me tell you, earlier,
someone tried to do it to me. Pickles tried to do it to me yesterday, but yeah, sorry, Berks, you go.
Oh, I was just going to say earlier, I lost my HUD. It bugged out. There's a bug going around where like you can lose your HUD, like for your helmet. And so I didn't know what was happening, but one of my party members was injecting me with stuff and I didn't even know. And so all of a sudden I just passed out and I was like, what's my blood level at? And he's like 110.
Wait, like what can you inject players with at the moment?
I was passed out for like 30 minutes.
With your med gun. The med gun can be passed up like random drugs. Drug cocktails.
Yeah. And Piggles was like, you can actually highlight different sections of the body and it tells you what's wrong with people. And he's just like, I'm knocked out on the ground because like whatever happened. And he's trying to put everything up in the gun to like maximum. And there's actually a limit that it'll actually let you put into someone. So you can't just like fill them through all the drugs and leave them to die.
And you know what's happening in Star Marine, because I played Star Marine. I played a bit of the game in general with Nazareth last night. We did a couple sessions of Star Marine, and like when you're getting killed in Star Marine, you go down and it's doing like you're passed out, and you have like 36 whatever minutes for somebody to come get you. And obviously that's a bug, but we would have to like, oh wait, hey, can you come kill me the rest of the way? Thanks. Like when we're playing Star Marine. So there's a bug.
Yeah,
what if that's going to be be a thing, like keeping them passed out, like you said, Berks. Like you said, you were out for a whole 30 minutes. Is that actually going to be like a thing
for bounty hunting or whatnot? Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And here's what I'll say is like, this is what, and CIG's already spoken to this. They said in the future, when you're sedated for bounty hunting, you'll have the option to get teleported to prison, like give up and surrender, and then an NPC would take your place. And before people say that's unimmersive, it is not fun gameplay, because what if that bounty hunter decides, oh hey, I'm gonna fly around, I'm gonna go to Levski, and then I'm gonna head over to Pyro, and then like 2 days later I'm gonna turn you in. They could do that, right?
Yeah.
When's the
or
last
never.
time anyone's
Or
when's
never
the
turn
last
you
time
in.
any of
They
you
just say
sat
fuck
in
with
the
you.
back of the when's the last time any of you sat in the back of the Hawk? I'll rest my case after that.
Yeah.
So the other thing I was gonna say is I died probably 10 times tonight on stream, and not a single time did I go into the downstate. So I think it needs to be readjusted. I would like to see, unless it's like, I don't know, I would like to see where you go either high damage resistance or invulnerable for like half a second while you go into the downstate.
Gotcha.
I think that would be really helpful. Like there was an NPC that killed me tonight, and it shot me in the chest, and it continued to shoot me, and then I just got I was insta dead. There was nothing I could do. And it was like every time I got hit by a train tonight. I mean, I had literally I had so many things that happened to me tonight, and
1,000 ways to kill Captain Berks.
1,000 ways to die, and none of them I ended up going into a downstate. I mean, I would have loved to get picked up, and I think a lot of people were like, oh well, Death of the Spaceman won't be that bad because at least you can get picked up, and that wasn't the case for me. So I don't know, I'd like to see an invulnerability or a high damage resistance for a very short period of time
as you're going down into the state,
so you have another chance. And if you get shot in the head after that, that's fine, you're dead, but at least having a chance would be nice, if that's the whole point.
My
only go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, in relation to the downstate, we were kind of talking. You were talking about like people were they were sticking you with drugs and stuff to try to get you back up, or whatever was going on. Stop, execute. But the thing is that the only thing that I see, I thought I saw you do something, but the only thing I foresee that's like, because like I hope that CIG kind of limits what you can stick people with. Right? It's not like I can just stick some rando with Widow.
Quote of 2021.
Well, maybe that
limits what you can stick people with.
Hold on.
From Buster. Sorry.
Oh no, I'm not even meaning to cut you off. I just mean like, what if you get a crime stop for sticking someone who's not in your party, or maybe there's a way to
press charges.
Yeah, press charges or give consent to someone giving you medical attention. You know?
Yeah, because I think like especially if there's like some kind of development where like you could stick somebody with something that's not like you were talking about like a sedative. I can't say the word sedative. That kind of gets into a murky, dark place that is gonna have a lot of memes that I don't want to see in this community.
Yeah,
just gonna be honest, just gonna be upfront, because you know how much of my life have I had to cover my drink? You know what I mean? I don't want to think about that in a game. You know, and I don't mean to like bring like something a little kind of dark up, but it is a thing.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want people running around.
I do think a consent system I think Berks hit it on the head. A consent system.
Yeah.
You could almost allow like only people on your friends list or something like that, or
people on your friends list, or people have accepted a medical pickup thing from you. You know what I mean?
There actually are law reasons you could put behind it too. Like maybe your suit only opens up to allow the needle to go through if they have permission or something like that. It's got some kind of nanotech in there.
Yeah, it's just just like it's like somebody's about to do it, and then like it prompts like a thing from your end that prompts them like they have to wait until you consent, and it's that simple. Like I obviously don't know how to implement that. I'm not saying it's a simple thing to implement, but something along those lines. Like just
again, I think that it could just be like you get crime stat if you do it with without someone's permission.
Oh, Buster, you make it so hard not to mock you as a former comedian. The word usage is terrible, but all right, my stick you from my end and just the words you're using.
You make it hard. You make it hard to not mock you for that beard, but we're gonna be nice today.
It's hobo. It's full hobo. I do need to shave it. I've been meaning to shave it for almost a couple of weeks. Paul knows I don't usually get this bad, but I've just
You usually look like a hobo. Now you look like an extra hobo. That's the answer. An extra grungy hobo. Let's move on to the next question.
You've almost caught up to me. What are you talking about?
I have. Is the BMM going to end a similar end up a similar price than the 890 jump? As the 890 jump.
Can I send you a picture, Paul, that I made up today?
Sure. My answer is it's going to be more expensive. It's alien and it's going to be the size of an 890 jump, so it's going to be more expensive.
So you know how quickly the Infrunners chat moves, so I've got to go back up a fair way to get to it. But have a look at this, Paul. I made this up in Photoshop today. And so what that is I went into the Fleet Viewer and put the 890 jump and the Banner Merchantman next to each other. Then I scaled up the Banner Merchantman on the right to be exactly the same size as the Banner Merchantman, giving us the correct scale of the Banner Merchantman to the 890 jump now. Right? And when you look at that, they are remarkably similar in size, are they not?
Mm-hmm. Even in shape.
Can you show that on screen anyway, Paul? Is that possible?
No, it's not possible. It's not possible.
I
mean, I could, I guess. Hold on.
Maybe we make a link for it just so people can see it. But like, it is like, to be honest with you guys, it's basically the same length. And the Banu is thinner than the 890 jump is, but yeah, they are remarkably similar in size. Yeah, so I would not be surprised if they compete head to head, so to speak, as in the bell of the ball, so to speak.
Yeah, it's also an alien ship, so alien tax. So
when are we going to get our first alien capital ship? Does this count?
Oh my God! Yes,
this is it. That's it, Paul. Sorry, that's it, Berks.
Yeah, I think
I've said to people for a long time that I thought this was going to be considered a capital ship, but
yeah. I mean, it's got a hangar, it's got a medical bay, it has everything the 890 does. It's almost exactly one for one what 890 is.
Totally, and I remember at one point before we knew how big it was going to be, people were like, "Yeah, it's not considered a capital because it's not big enough," and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And here we are.
And one thing that makes me think, I'm glad that you said that, because it makes me think of, like, what we don't think about as much, I think, is I find it likely that there will be ships in this game that we won't be able to buy, right? Because they will be not available to the public of the UEE, such as a Vandal capital ship. Like, we have to think about, like, sometimes, like, they're making all of what they're making, but like eventually, like they're gonna come around with like these things that the goal is that we actually are going up against those things, and it's like they're giving us all like the puzzle pieces to make a complete picture. So when we go at these guys, like we have like all these little fleets, and we have what we got that like like a Vandal capital has like this specific weakness that this specific ship is actually really good for, that we don't see right now. We never know that maybe they are balancing ships in a way for things that we will never get to own. Maybe we'll get to take them over, but they're going to be something we got to go at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Berks, I posted a meme that I made earlier today just for you in the chat as well. Actually, I might share it. I made that one. If you can see it, the middle one of the three images, and the bottom one someone else posted. I found fairly funny. They were trying to motivate the developers to put a swimming pool in the Banner Merchantman just so they can really hold stuff over the 890 jumper in the sanctuary room. Yeah,
in the grotto.
Yeah. Because there's a room labeled Sanctuary, which is that, I don't know what that is. It's some kind of recreation room or something. And they want to put a swimming pool in there just so they can say it's got one. But yeah,
that's so funny.
All right, so this is a question that I think is going to go directly to Buster because and I think this will something we'll all can be answered. But Buster, do you think that the new inventory will evolve into closets and storage areas in our habs for like clothes and suits specifically?
Please, for the love of sweet God and Jesus, like, my God, I would love for you to actually use the closets in your habs.
Yeah.
And like physically be able to pull things in and out. But I would love, like, I would love for there to be more of that. Like, and I know that, you know, like whatever. These may seem girly to some people. I don't really care. I just think that, yeah, we should have like closets. We should have the ability to kind of display and store things as we please and see fit. And I just, what's the point of having like these assets, right? Like where you have a little, you know, you have like little shirts hanging in a closet that you can never grab because it's just not like, of course I want to be able to like hang my stuff up and put it up or whatever through my inventory system. Like that would be great. And I would like a purse. I'm sorry, y'all can have all your inventory stuff, but when am I gonna get a purse?
I actually had a discussion with a few different women about this subject that they are wanting a few more girly things in the game, and I didn't even like that term, to be honest with you. But I just think it does need a bit of a few extra things for both sexes, so to speak.
It's a good point to make, and I was actually making this with Nazareth this morning when we were like
Yeah.
streaming. I was talking to him about this, and I said, you know, I've seen in the past, like I've literally seen Jay Lee, like I asked during an Inside Star Citizen years ago, like a question along the lines of like, you know, it was when Jay Lee comes in, he's designing like a piece of clothing or armor or something. And I basically had asked something along the lines of, you know, men's fashion tends to go for utility, women's fashion tends to go for the way it looks and mystique and all that, and how do you balance that? And he basically was like, you know, gender doesn't matter. You know, we got to make it useful. I always want to get utility into what I'm doing, but like the gender doesn't matter kind of answer. I'm just paraphrasing him. I'm not doing the exact quote because I don't remember off the top of my head. But what I fear sometimes in a video game like Star Citizen is I interpret a lot of this game as very masculine in its design, and whether it's ships, it's places, it's things, and you know, whatever. But one of the things I fear about an answer like that is good. You know, I get it. Like gender does not matter. Like do what you want to do, be happy. That's fine. I don't personally care about yours. I just want you to be a happy person. But why does femininity have to get the back seat to utilitarian, like to unisex things? Like
why is male the default? Is basically
why is male default? Like you can tell me it's about like, you know, nobody cares about the genders, but so much of the game is masculine in its design. The most feminine thing designed in this game are origin ships because they're all shaped like uteruses. More power to Origin.
Yeah.
They are. Look at them. They are shaped like uteruses and all that. Like yes.
Yeah.
You know?
Can I ask you a question, Buster, about this specifically? Do you worry that they will try to force ladies into like traditional, and I don't like to say traditional gender roles, but traditional gender professions like the medical stuff and things like that, like so cooking and
what
that.
do you mean they? Like the game designers?
Are they gonna tailor? Yeah, are they gonna tailor that gameplay more to the female persuasion? Like, is that an actual concern for you? I'm just asking. It could not be that way.
You've asked me this before. Like, I think you were the one that asked me.
I think I might have been.
Yeah, and like, because somebody had asked me when I was talking about something like this on my stream, they asked me, "Well, what would you implement in the game to attract more women to it, or to get more women to be interested in it?" And my answer is like literally the game is good as it is. Like there's plenty, women are not like boxed into one specific thing, right? Like I used to sling power tools and be a carpenter and deal with, you know, people telling me I couldn't do that because, you know, somehow having a vagina or being a feminine presenting person and like affects that. Women like a lot of crap that y'all don't give us credit for. And by y'all, I just mean the world in general. I don't mean you guys specifically. But the thing is that I do think there are certain types of things in games that make women like feel like we do care. Like a lot of us do care about our appearance in games. Like me personally, like I don't like I would love like some stupid, ridiculous like dress in Star Citizen that costs like 6 billion AUEC because it would be a status symbol. That'd be like, look at me, I worked. Like I'm like that Britney Spears video, work bitch. You know, like it would be. But at the same time, I think women do tend, like in a lot of video games sometimes, I think we do like support roles because it's less aggressive than PvP and combat sometimes. And it's not aggressive about the gameplay, it's aggressive in how community handles us when we beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
So follow-up question based on that. Does that mean you reckon a lot more women may go into things like mining and science and research and stuff like that, the less combat driven roles. I'm just curious.
I think women will even out with men in this game once we hit that place of where it's like more toward 50-50.
Okay.
I think it will totally be evened out. Women have all the interest in the world, but I do think that in general, like support roles are we deal with a lot less toxicity in general. But even then, we still deal with it. Like it's really up to y'all. I mean this. Like all three of you, all the like, it's up to y'all to make, not necessarily facilitate for us, but it's up to y'all to call out people for that toxicity. Because men listen to men more than they listen to women in general.
That's true.
And
I will also state I play a healer a lot in games, and so I can relate to some of what you're saying. Obviously, because I get like, there's nothing worse than playing a healer and someone blames you for them dying when they're the ones that killed themselves. But yeah, I can somewhat relate to what you're saying, not being the woman part, but just the
less crap.
Yeah, the toxicity stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I would love to be a better combat pilot. I would love to, but like when I've walked around this game at Omega Pro, somebody calling me a slut just because my character didn't have a shirt on, we have a problem, and it's not me.
That's a different conversation, but I agree. Let me do it this way. The reason why I asked you the question about the closets, because I know you're the fashionista. So that's why I was wondering more about that.
100%. But it kind of morphed into that whole debate too, because it got specified to me. But I absolutely agree. Like, I think that's going to be a really, really great thing to have. And it's not just for me. Like, it's for all of you. Like, who doesn't want a closet to put your stuff up at your house, right? Like, we need to store our clothes. It's not, you don't just throw them on your bed.
Yeah. Well, I was on that conversation, and this may be a conversation to have for a different time, but also I think for CIG in general, is accessing different types of clothing for people, just in general, like different styles, different like give me some fucking toga shit up in this bitch, like go nuts. Like, there's more clothing out there than what exists in, like,
I hate to even say this, but like, I mean, there's so many like good sci-fi shows out there that they could copy or get inspiration from. Like, I don't know if anyone's seen Foundation, but I literally posted on Twitter. I said, what did I say? I said, please, nobody show this show to CIG. The game won't be done for 20 years.
But I mean, like, there's a lot more clothing out there from the rest of the world that do not look like default male from New York. Like, give me some shit from West Africa or from Southeast Asia or any of those kind of things. Give me different styles. It's the 30th century, baby. Give me some crazy shit up in here. That's fine. Like at that point, mankind is meshed so culturally that like our design shouldn't be like so focused on one specific thing.
I think they are going to hit a lot of different looks, because look at all the different looks we've just got in Stanton, and Stanton's a more, what would you call it? I would call it like a middle, not a high end or a low end, but it's somewhere in the middle. And then if you go into someone like Pyro, and it's a lot more low end, but then you could get to somewhere like Terra and Earth, where it's a lot more sophisticated, and it probably is more like what the Empire is like in Foundations, as Berks mentioned. So I actually think there is room for a lot of different styles, and you might go to a planet and it's more Asian inspired. I remember saying to you yesterday when we were watching the that room that we get the artifact from, how it was very Asian and Turkish inspired. So they are starting to look at different cultures, and I do think eventually, as you go across this entire universe, we will be getting a gamut of everything. It's you're just going to have to give it some time.
I think that what you'll start to notice is that going to different systems will be like going to different countries in IRL. Yeah. It's like every system, and Al said something in chat that like, it's like I was thinking of, but it's just like we forget sometimes, is that it's like Stanton is very corporate. It's owned by corporations.
100%.
So it's like it would be hard for us to expect for it to look any different than it does.
And even each like area of Stanton has kind of its own culture, right? Because Babbage has its own style. They all have their own style and their own cultures.
And I bring all this stuff
started on I was gonna say alien races as well.
Yeah,
That's
I bring this up because because it comes from two angles. One, it can get us. I just hope CIG gets away from the default male standard and just starts looking at it like, let's look at this in terms of the culture of this planets you're on, and let people like Jay Lee and those teams kind of go a little crazy, get a little creative with like togas or saris or kimonos or stuff like that, stuff that's inspired from these sorts of like more robes or more drapery. I know that's a little hard, but even Chris Roberts likes the drape. He's even working on that shader, the cloth tech, just specifically drape better. So it's like, let's go crazy with it a little bit, and it would give people more of a kind of a change, and I think it would also make people stand out, because when you can start storing these sorts of items individually at a location, if I'm going to bring my like silk robe to I'm not going to bring that to Lorville. I'm going to want to keep it in my nice like apartment in Orison, because that's where I'm going to go to the parties. I'm not going to bring that shit to Lorville, and I want to be able to store it in a location where I know where it is, rather than just trying to remember which zone it's in.
Before I say what I was going to say, Buster, I think you have to give a manicure to Berks. He's playing with his nails.
Daddy, I got you, and I don't have to paint your nails. I can get you. We'll get you set up with some
She's a feet
oil
person.
and things like that.
She'll
He's picking
paint
his
your feet.
cuticles. He's picking his cuticles.
So what I was going to say is also that shader that he was working on, not the shader, sorry, but the thing Chris Roberts is working on for the cloth tech and stuff like that, that'll also work with hair as well. So you might actually finally be able to have longer hairstyles, the ponytails, the braids, just the full head of hair, all that stuff. The Disco Lando look, you can actually have that in game. So and that'll also work front ways as well. You might be able to have really huge long ass beards and stuff. So that it could have a lot of
beards at all.
Yeah, at all. That's true.
And all of it available to both models, not just one or the other.
That's
because
okay.
Like wear a beard, girl. Do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. I was gonna say, like, that's I think that's that was basically my take, is that to defeat the default slacks in a shirt, to have more things that are more inspired by various cultures, to blend it in with the futuristic, to make it less of I'm wearing a dress. It's like, you're wearing a robe. Who cares? Like that kind of thing. It look cool. Whatever.
Sorry to interrupt, but if I don't read it soon, it's going to go off to your page there. But there's a guy there called what's his name? Rough Galaxy. His wife was talking about they want more African American hairstyles. Yeah. I actually reckon that is across the gamut. You could pick every culture on Earth, and I also think that you almost want alien hairstyles as well. I think they need to go really outside the box, and I'd even. You correct me if I'm wrong here, Buster, but even the ability to have like accessories, like when ladies get like a chopstick and they do the hair with a chopstick.
Their hair.
Yeah, things like that
would
be
cool. Hair accessories would be neat.
Yeah, hair accessories, earrings, the whole nine yards.
You better take that off before you put your helmet on. So that's the only thing.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. Like,
maybe it's special tech and it just shrinks into your hair.
Right. The details are. I think that there are a lot of like great hairstyles in the world, and I think you're onto something about like alien hairstyles. That just takes some really good consulting with some really good with professionals. Like, they actually in the past, like, people didn't notice this, like they actually have a little makeup on the female model skins. Like, like a little bit of just little hints of eyeliner and things like that. And that's because they've consulted with some really smart makeup designers that help them understand, like, this is too much, or that's, let's keep it subtle, yada 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 yada. And that's something else I'd like to see, is like the ability to customize like makeup or something, just little things.
I think that should actually be a profession in game, like someone that can actually change someone's look. So like not just a hairdresser, but like
you give like a kit that you buy for a certain amount of money, and you could do it to other players. Yeah.
Growing hair in both, facial and on the head.
We're getting a little too.
the
Yeah.
chest hair, gorilla hair, you know, all that stuff.
I think
So
we're
you
getting a
get what
little
I'm
to the
saying, like,
hopium. We're getting a little to the hopium there. Let's
we
move
are
away
getting
from
the
that.
hopium.
Yeah.
But can you imagine the ability to like customize, like because like you were saying about that really expensive dress, my brain went straight to, wouldn't it be really awesome if you could actually design a dress and then sell it?
That'd be cool,
Right?
but that's
So you
a little
down the road. It's
that gets to a place
down the
of
road.
giving the player too much ability to design the game.
Yeah. All right. Let's
We're not ready for
refocus. I'm gonna wrangle the execute for a bit, and we're gonna refocus. Gin and Tonic asks. Captain Berks isn't here. He's gone. He's back. Oh, he's bringing back Bucky.
He's there.
But he's bringing Bucky. Okay, so this is actually a question for you, Berks, about Bucky. Gin and Tonic's asking, are you going to get Bucky a metal leg?
Oh.
An adamantium leg, or maybe, or a vibranium leg.
Vibranium?
Maybe? Yeah.
I mean, maybe for Halloween. he does quite well with just 3 legs, though. He's really fast, actually.
Oh.
He's very fast.
He's such a cute baby.
Mm.
Weedle, where are you, you asshole? It's time to slow down.
Hellcat asks.
So ugly.
Hellcat asks, similar to my previous question, from various sci-fi universes, we have iconic places. For example, Kuat, Corellia, Coruscant from Star Wars. What systems do you think what system/location do you think would represent the iconic systems in Star Citizen? Let's start with you there, Berks, on this one. What would you say is an iconic system for Star Citizen?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, if we're talking about iconic in terms of, I mean, how bad the star map is.
More
30Ks? I don't know.
30Ks. Like
I'm thinking,
Stanton,
I guess okay, an iconic system is being able to.
Well, no, like iconic,
so
like star system. Star system.
Oh, you mean star system? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like game system.
No, so like Hellcat asked earlier about like what was the iconic ships. Like every sci-fi IP has this iconic ship, and so they asked about that for the last panel. And this panel is like iconic systems or locations.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm trying to think. I mean, I'm not as like in touch with all the systems, but I know for a fact there is is Nemo the one that has the like underwater planet or the underwater city? Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'd call it iconic, but it's one of my favorite that I looked into. Thought it was really cool.
I will say I'm gonna go basic vanilla, pumpkin spice latte bitch on this point and say Stanton or Orison. Orison I think is the iconic location right now of Star Citizen.
Yeah,
Orison is Star Citizen. You know,
I think they'll come as they're built. So like and to be honest, Paul, I think you're probably the best person here to answer this of all of us. Like, what are the big systems in lore? Because that'll carry a lot of weight. To me, like the ones we know of will be obviously kind of like the Sol system and Terra. Everything else is kind of made up and the points don't matter, but you tell me if I'm wrong. But Stanton, because it was the first though too.
Yeah. I mean, you've got Centauri, you've got Killian, Magnus, Spider, you've got Ellis, Odin. I mean, these are all like the big, in terms of like big populated systems, it's Ellis, Magnus, Terra, Earth, or Terra Sol. Vega, yeah. Like, there's a bunch of systems which are like big in lore, but like it's really hard for me to say that those systems are iconic because they're lore. Like, I'm the first guy. The lore master is the first one to say lore doesn't fucking matter until gameplay matters. And when gameplay matters, it's good. But like right now, what's iconic in Star Citizen? I think it's just Stanton. Like Stanton and specifically Orison, just because we don't have anything else. We got Pyro maybe in the future, but like when I think Star Citizen, I think Orison. Like that's what I think. You know,
I think Port Alistar specifically,
Port Alistar
is the most iconic for me in that system. Yeah. What about you, Buster? You didn't kind of weigh in on that one.
Hades.
Hades, yes.
I think it's going to be one of the.
Yeah.
Venefica lives there. She was left behind, you know. But I also really words. I say Hades because to me Hades is going to be iconic, and other systems like it, because they're going to be the systems that have the most mystery, and they're shrouded in like just like, you know, they're just going to shrouded in these mysteries and this like almost like superstition, and all. Is it raining? It's raining. It's been really, really windy today. It just started raining.
There's a storm coming through. I was told that a storm's supposed to hit Austin by midnight. So it's probably going to hit y'all too.
But yeah, but anyway, but yeah, it's, like I said, Hades and things like it, because I think that's going to be the stuff that people like in Carrix and all those explorative, because I think a lot of the people in this community, like their exploration is probably one of the biggest things that made them want to back this. Is that idea of like being in a game and going somewhere, and it could very well be that you're one of the first persons ever to manage to find that specific place and that specific spot in the universe. And I just think like I said, places like Hades are going to be like just chock full of so much interesting mystique around them. And we can go to all these places that got people everywhere, but those are going to be the moments in the future that are going to like blow your freaking mind.
You actually triggered a memory for me of me watching Berks for the very first time, and he was running around the planet trying to find one of the first harvestables, and they're all in a massive line.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that? Yeah. And it just triggered that in my head, like trying to the first to find this unique thing.
Well, one time on like Daymar, I found a formation of rocks. Sorry, go ahead.
No, they weren't.
Oh no, I just said literally that was it. I just said we weren't the first. Like we weren't.
Right. But what I was going to add was that I one time I found a formation of rocks on Daymar that looked just like the Vasquez rocks from Star Trek. You know, if you've watched any episode like the Gorn, most famously the episode with the Gorn, you know, he's fighting the Gorn, he makes the gunpowder, all that. But it was like really cool. And so I immediately like switched over in my Van Duel helmet and that gold like big fat armor, that heavy armor. And I played like this, you know, that was like, to me, I don't even do low flying very much or any of that, but finding something that looked like that made me go, oh my God, I wish I had remembered where this was. Because I could see so many like dumb little parodies of like that specific thing.
I think that kind of brings it full circle back to that that artifact from the stream too. Like you're gonna have memories like that through artifacts like that in the game, which is really important.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be, to me, the most appealing thing down the line, because people are gonna fight, people are gonna do what they're gonna do, they're gonna haul cargo, yada 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 yada. But at the end of the day, I just want to feel like I did or found something that might blow other people. Like I can be like, guys, I discovered something and I'm putting a claim on it, and you know, everybody come this way because let's excavate something, or let's do whatever. You know, that kind of stuff to me is going to be the most fascinating gameplay down the line. So there you go, Hades and others like it. Really mysterious systems or fallen empires that we discover.
I will say I would really love to see some like puzzle gameplay in the future.
I am so with you. I'm so with you 100%.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I sound so tropey saying this. Well, it's not even like, you know, more like video game trope, but like it's just like I would love to see like some Destiny style, like, you know, complicated puzzles that you have to like get all these pieces and you got to go to this place and do this thing. And then I don't even know, like, what would be
like
the
it
reward
unlocks
for that?
something. Like you know, maybe you make a huge discovery, you could sell it, and it gets.
But imagine being the first person ever to do that. How cool would that be?
Right. It would be like super amazing.
Like like a super hard puzzle that's mega
they do that stuff
hard.
in ED.
Yeah.
There's apparently puzzles that they still haven't figured out in ED. Like the devs are like, yeah, we're just waiting for people to figure them out.
And what if it's like I love that idea, because what if you do something like that and you solve this like little mystery or this little puzzle, and it unlocks some new kind of tech, and it triggers a massive game-wide event of some kind. You know, there's no limit to how one player could affect the rest of this world. And I think something like that, like, you could really create, like, that's to me exactly it. Like a puzzle or something crazy. Like, you think you're going nuts, and then you figure it out, and then it triggers something across the whole game that is, it becomes a part of the game's history. And
That's Star
the
Citizen in a nutshell. I think that's what they want to do. So I'd like to see more of that in the future, but we'll see. So let's go.
I'm used to it. Just one more thing.
I'm moving on. I'm just moving on.
Okay.
I'm moving on. We got to go. Sorry, man.
Yeah, he's got to roll. He's got to roll.
So Midnight Black SC asks, what do you think of jump points having multiple entrances and exits? Do you like it, or do you think a more predictable choke point would have been better? What do you think, XQ?
It's great.
No, it's perfect.
They've got to force players to the same location for gameplay.
I disagree.
It's the same players the Aaron Halo built. The gates on the Aaron Halo built. They're trying to force people through corridors, so to speak, so that you've got to be able to bring players together at certain locations.
You don't think there's going to be like secret spots you can sneak through the Aaron Halo belt, like clearings and stuff?
Oh, for sure. You could just go through the long way, for sure. But like if you think about any gameplay that has multiple players, you're always trying to bring players together as much as possible for those what they call it, emergent gameplay. They use it all the time in Star Citizen, but that's what they're trying to do, because human on human is always better than human on AI.
Yeah. I just feel like if not, you're gonna have these mega corporate. I mean, because let's say there's 100. Let's say there's 200 jump points in the game. Every single one of them is going to be camped by some mega corporation. Every single one of them, or mega org is what I mean. So having this like Swiss cheese is what they called it, having these like ways that might even be more dangerous or risky to go through, but they are maybe smaller, so only certain size ships can go through them. I feel like is needed. Otherwise, you're just going to have
So what about random wormholes that open temporarily, though?
That would be cool. That would be fine.
That'd be fine.
Like, that would be an interesting way to like kind of keep it. You
That's
think you're
kind
going
of
one
what I'm
way.
hoping they do, though, right? Like the jump gate keeps it open and stable. The other ones kind of move, and they can pop up because they're unstable and they're temporary. I like the idea.
And like, who doesn't want to do an episode of, like, who doesn't want to do all 7 seasons of Voyager and Star Citizen? I mean, come on.
So you know how Jump Town, they talked about that yesterday, about like having it move around a bit and stuff like that. Imagine a jump point that opens and that's highly profitable, but it's like from one system to one that's like 3 jumps away that it would normally never be to. So I could see, and it only opens for like 4 days, and then it's like it never opens again.
Well, yeah,
like,
but I mean, like,
they can do that stuff.
You can have like the main jump point that's 2 gates to it, but like an angry, whatever, like a you have serious like little sub things which will randomly pop up around it. You can go into those randomly pop-ups. You have to find them. You can get into them. You can get in, and you can get out into the other system without being spotted or maybe take this route that goes back into the main route, and you can take the main route the rest of the way because it's being camped. Whatever. There needs to be more ways of in and out, because if you have too little of options, it's just going to be, as Berks said, it's just going to be a camp city. It's just going to be ganking 101.
I think it'll also depend on systems, though, Paul, because you could have a very lawful system that is more controlled by the AI population, but you could also have a lawless system where it's controlled by gangs. I can see them make that. Actually, to me, is something that they can craft into the gameplay. So it's almost a system per system thing. So I see the pros and cons both ways.
Yeah, I'm okay with gate camping, but the thing is like, and this is why people do it so harshly in Eve, because you're stupid not to gate camp. If there's only one way in and one way out, you're stupid not to gate camp, because if a non-protected caterpillar with 5 billion AUEC worth of this rare resource comes through and you're there to snag it up, you're not going to be like, oh well, just go ahead and go through. You're going to take all of it. right? So if there's ways that might be more dangerous, maybe you die, or maybe you end up somewhere where you don't think that you're going to end up, or whatever. I think you have to weigh the risks of that. But there definitely should be ways to push through and get to the system if it's heavily camped. And I think that like systems where UE controlled should be heavily monitored at the jump gates, I'm thinking. But if it's like Pyro, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be Camp City, I think.
But even then, like say for example, let's take your Pyro example there, Berks. If a really big organization blocks the gate, it's going to become problematic for the AI, and using the system through Quanta, eventually UE forces will be amassed by the quantum
or even pirate forces, or some sort
and
of
send.
AI.
Yeah, you get me.
Totally. Yeah, or like the UE is like, hey, we don't like the fact that you guys are trying to take over the system. We're gonna send 5 javelins to like cut that out. That's totally believable.
And even like how they in Xenothreat they called for players to help out. It could be that as well. Oh, this org is blocking the jump gate. We need everyone in Stanton to come and help get rid of these guys because it's affecting all of our bottom line. So I can see that going both ways, where it pulls in AI and players. We'll see. I think the system is now dynamic enough. Like if you can see where they're going, I think the gameplay potentials are amazing.
Yeah. All right. Let me move on to the last 2 questions. Well, this next question is, do you think lightning will work at night and light up the sky properly?
Please?
No,
yeah, why wouldn't it be able to?
I think CIG will make it work like that. They'll find a way.
Lightning's one of those things I just can't wait for in game.
Yeah, effects have had no problem thus far. Like if you shoot a bullet at the ground, for example, that it lights up the ground.
Yeah,
right.
You do a little flash.
Like, so yeah, there's CIG hasn't had no problem making effects and stuff. Or if you self-destruct your ship, for example, it temporarily lights everything up, or a missile or whatever. CIG hasn't had any problem making effects like light the surrounding area. So yeah, I think it will look really cool.
Do you remember yesterday, Paul? I pulled out and pointed out to you that ball thing.
Yeah, the lightning and the ball. Yeah, the ball lightning.
Yeah, the lightning and the ball. Yeah, so the lightning's going quite well, obviously, in the engine.
Yeah. All right, so this is the one that my stupid, tired ape brain can't understand, because it was brought up last panel, and I'm still confused by it. And Berks might be able to help me out, because I know you've probably watched this a little bit or thought about this and execute, and maybe even Buster. I haven't been able to watch.
Maybe even Buster.
Buster, I don't know how much you've watched of this. The question is, because this is a hot topic in the community right now because of the server meshing panel and the switch to sharding, or the clarification of sharding. The question is, do you think with the approach to server meshing they outlined will mean that the crew counts of some ships like the Idris will have to come down?
No.
Why not?
Because of how they do the object container streaming, and it's more fluid and dynamic how they can change the number of people. So you can essentially have an entire...
sorry. Big lightning strike.
Yeah,
it's more dynamic, the sizes of the rooms, and that's what those boxes essentially are, is containers that open and close to change the number of people you can have in a certain space.
As far as I can tell, you actually get better performance having 20 people inside one ship than you do having 20 people in 20 ships.
A server. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That is correct.
And I did some tests in 314 live on this with hammerheads. And it seemed pretty clear that 12 hammerhead or whatever it was, we had like 10 hammerheads with 5 people each, was much more efficient than having 50 people and 50 fighters. So I don't really think that that's going to be an issue. Maybe, but I don't think so.
Okay. For those of you who are wondering, like, oh, this panel, I'm interested in it. Well, here, actually, it's the first thing that popped up on my
I think what people need to remember is that I don't think there's going to be any certain number. I don't think it's going to be 300 people. Like, I don't think that there's going to be like CIG is going to cut the server off at 300 people. I think it's going to cut the server off when it reaches a certain like load, right? So if I don't think there's not like a number you guys need to worry about. It's interconnected to the same question, right?
It's a little bit more complicated than that though, Berks, because like to go back to your example of how you said more people on the one ship, for example, if you've got an Idris fighting an Idris, you can literally have 83 people on each of those ships, because if the people are in different rooms, they are not actually, the information is not sent to each other. And that's the beauty of this system and the way the object containers work. But if you have 100 people literally in the one room, it's going to run a lot worse, because they're all like getting information for each other in that proximity. But like, again, when they bring on the ship culling stuff as well, you're essentially got 83 people that are acting as one entity as the ship moves around. And the only information that really needs to be sent to people externally is what guns that ship's firing, and maybe if you can possibly see them through a window. That's it. That really culls back a lot of the information that has to be sent. Sorry.
So I'm seeing that. It's okay. I'm seeing Lady Rain asking if she can pop onto the panel. I'm like, in the future probably, because I have to plan these ahead of time. So we do these on Saturdays, usually Saturday afternoon. So if anybody here is like a professional and they want to talk to me about these sorts of things on the Captain Stable in the future, I'm always available on Saturdays from 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UTC, as the sleep goes on, no sleep go on, brain work better.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
And it's mainly because I think I might have missed something at Citizencon yesterday, but they did talk about a variant of a ship, of a favorite ship, but I don't remember ever seeing a variant of a ship. Do you guys remember?
No, I think it's going to be IAE. They talked about that,
okay.
But I think it's the IAE, you know.
I've got ahead of myself then. Thank you.
Yeah. So maybe you can answer this question for me, y'all, because y'all, I wasn't able to pay attention to that whole panel. What I gathered from that panel was that, from people's responses, is CIG basically saying that at a certain point, they're just going to spin up a new server and then just stack the servers on top of each other? Or is it we're living in 3 different shards that we don't interact with each other, and they may crisscross at some point?
So this is what I'm talking about. Remember when I said that we're limited by the laws of physics?
Yeah.
The problem is like, I think that what's gonna have to happen is they're like, the shards are, what I think is, it's like the only ever reason you'd be on shard 1, 2, or 3 instead of just shard 1 is because there's too many people or too much going on in that area that you're already in. I think other than that, everyone's on the same universe. I don't think that you, Paul, are always going to live on shard 2 and I'm always going to live on shard 1. And if we go to the same place, we're not going to see each other, right? But that doesn't make any sense. But I think that it's going to be like, if we both go to Port Olisar, there's a chance I'm on shard 1 and a chance that you're on shard 2, because there's just too many people there. Like, there might be 50 shards at Port Olisar.
Yeah.
But there's no need to have 50 shards at OM1 on Yella, you know?
Yeah, but what if there's the entire community is at OM1 on Yella? Does that mean we're going to have 50 shards at OM1 on Yella?
Wait, sorry, one more time?
So if the entire community, if a million people are at Olisar, there can be 50 shards. But then if that whole group just moves to OM1 on Yella, so what you're saying is that there could be situations where you have these huge conflicts where they just end up in their own shards, separate. So dude shows up in a battleship at the last moment.
Yes.
He comes in and boop, he's not in the battle anymore because that server has been maxed.
This is fucked. Where I have, well, it's going to try, according to the server meshing talk, it's going to try its literal hardest to keep everyone on the same ship. That's the number 1 priority. Everyone on the same ship is in the same instance. That's its number 1 priority, right? If you are on the same ship as someone, you are basically guaranteed as far as they've explained, to be on the same instance as someone else. You're not going to get teleported to a different instance if you're on the same ship as someone else, right?
Yeah.
However, right, because then you have to duplicate the ship. Doesn't make any sense. However, I think this is why I called it instance, right, instead of shard, because I think shards are confusing people. But it's just an instance is what it is. There's the CIG is going to spool up an additional instance, and the reason why this is right, and then the instance through the replication layer are going to talk to each other, right? So it's like a multiverse. So when but it's like small pocket universes, right? So it's like when
this is a really weird explanation, but it makes a lot of sense.
It makes sense, right? So if you go too many people go to OM1, then a new small pocket universe is spooled up, and that's shard 2. And then if another 50 people go there, then shard 3 spools up, right? And all of a sudden you have all these different universes, but they're all talking to each other on the replication layer, right? So if a business transaction happens in there, the replication layer is making sure every single one of these instances know what's going on inside of each other. So, or if like someone's ship blows up and there's salvage there or something, like that's something that the replication layer is going to tell all the shards about. Unless there's again too many people there, and then it can only. I'd imagine the wreckage isn't going to pop up on every server. But if everyone leaves and that wreckage is still there, and then let's say only one person comes back out of the thousands of people there, I'd imagine that they could find that wreckage, because the replication layer has told the other servers that that stuff is there. Does that make sense? So
yeah, what you just said, chat's saying you're wrong, and I don't know what's going on. Like they're saying that's not what's going on. So I'm still confused. Like I'm still absolutely confused.
The other
sleep brain.
The other
no
part
work.
that I think you need to add to yours, Berks, though, is also geography, because more than likely there'll be an Australian server, a US server, and a European server at the very least, and you will be kind of able to pick your direction as well. So if I wanted to go hang out with Paul one day, I'll probably be able to go hang out on the US shard or something like that. I think that'll be probably the very top of the tower, so to speak. But yeah, I think they will spin up shards, so to speak, if that's what you're suggesting.
Yeah, I mean the other way that people are insinuating, I mean that's how I interpreted what they said. But if people are insinuating that you're just going to live on your own shard forever, then that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like I don't know how it sounds to me like it is going to be more of what I'm saying.
Because my question essentially boils down to,
but if people are missing what I'm saying, people are trying to say that there is no instancing, but it is instancing. That's essentially what it is. It's essentially instancing. It's just on a larger scale.
Yeah,
they literally explained that in the talk about how you could go up to a bar, and if you got moved from one shard to another, the items on the bar could change. But it definitely sounds like they're trying to limit that, right? Through some of the things that you said there too, Berks, about they're trying to keep you on the same ship and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely, like, I had 3 people message me straight after the talk ended and said, "Oh, they've just confirmed sharding." And unfortunately, as you said, Berks, as well, you said people are not wanting to hear it. So that's probably what you're hearing in chat. But unfortunately, I think that is very clearly what it is, that they are, that it's with the sheer number of people that they're going to have in the game, they're going to try and keep us together, but it's not always going to happen. That's what they're trying to say. They're trying to, they've come to the limits of the technology, as you kind of said, Berks.
So,
and obviously they've been working on this for what, a year and a half now?
Okay. Yeah. Well, more longer than that, obviously. But so essentially what we're saying, and I'm going to walk through this again just because I want to make sure that my sleepy, dumb brain can understand this. There's a battle. You have 50 people, say you have 50 people in this area, right? These 50 people are fighting. Dude rocks up in an Idris with 50 people in that Idris. That the second he gets close to that battle can't handle it. So that Idris is just spun up and he doesn't see shit. He is just SOL. So you have basically an area that's locked off from anybody doing anything in there unless one person leaves that area, and then it will allow for more people to come in. Is that what I'm hearing? So there's going to be a limit to the size and scope of the battles and the objects in an area.
What I'm trying to say is there is no limit to the amount of people who can go into OM3 on Yella. At some point, they will spawn a separate instance, quote unquote. Like, let's say you, Paul, are at OM3 with 1,000 people, and pretend that's the cap. At some point, I will go to OM3 on Yella, and you guys won't be there. That will happen. If you guys think that's not going to happen, you are missing the entire point, because that is what's going to happen. It's literally, they can't, at some point, they cannot show everyone. They cannot do it. It literally, we are limited by the laws of physics. Yeah. So at some point, you become, and I'm calling it an instance. You can call it a shard, you can call it whatever you want. But at some point, there will be a separate instance that happens. It's just going to be what's happened. And then the replication layer tells everything what's going on.
What you need to add to that, Berks, that I think that would probably clarify it for a few people, are the factors that would make it not appear for you. So, for example, like if I'm in Australia and Berks is in the United States, chances are I'm not going to see Berks. So it's like a prioritization order as well. So, but if Berk and I are on each other's friends list, we may well see each other if it's not too maxed out. So totally. there are going to be like a priority order, and it's like, you know, like, but if you rock up and there's 25 bloody Idrises and they're full of bloody people, you know, like it's going to have to cull some of them, or it may split it into two battles.
Yes,
you know. So there are limits. As it all comes back to what Berk said, there is a limit to the technology. You can't just like have all this shit do miraculous things.
Right. So, but what from what I understand, and I could be wrong here, if there's a huge battle at OM3 on Yella, I don't know why we keep using this spot, but OM3 on Yella, there's a huge battle there. And let's say I'm a part of the instance that's not there, and I'm like, oh wow, nothing's here. And then everyone leaves. The battle leaves, I leave, and then the next day I come back and there's all this wreckage there. I would see the wreckage as far as I'm aware. Yeah. I wouldn't see an empty, like there wouldn't be nothing there. I would see the wreckage from the battle, even though I didn't see the battle. If there's nobody else there. Because the replication layer told me, hey, all this stuff happened. I would imagine.
Yeah. No, I can imagine.
Okay. So I think I think my sleepy brain got it. So for those of you who don't get it, because I think there's a lot of people who are not getting this, the universe has its own inventory layer. There's a system that tracks everything in the game as numbers, you know, basically this number, where it is. So if I drop a coffee cup doing Chris Roberts' thing in a forest, because I'm Chris Roberts and I like littering forests. Stop doing that, Chris. It's bad for the environment. That coffee cup will be there. But if suddenly there's a stampede of 1,000 people because they want Chris Roberts' limited edition coffee cup, and they all show up there and one person picks it up, that coffee cup will then disappear because there's 1,000 people and 1,001 person walks up there. That coffee cup is gone because it's only in that instance with that 1,000 people. So no one will see that coffee cup. Those 1,000 people see that coffee cup. And if they put it down and all those 1,000 people leave, that coffee cup will then just magically appear in front of the player who is still there, who can still see that cup.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay.
If you are, can I just add to that, Paul? If you are the person that put the coffee cup there, almost 1,000% that's going to come back for you because you put it there. You are the top in that priority of anyone.
Yeah.
And I think once you add priorities to it, it becomes a lot more clear to people.
It's a lot more similar to Tarkov in many ways, because like Tarkov is one global instance, but you can go into individual instances, individual essences of the same map. But in this case, it's going to be a little bit bigger. Okay. Sorry.
People are freaking out. They're like, oh, if my friend leaves a gun and he wants me to go find it, I might not find it. But they can literally go, you are on a friends list with such and such, so you share a priority order. They can put all that stuff in the code. So if you're in an org with someone, if you're in a friends list with someone, they can all fall under different priority orders to increase the chances that you will see what they see.
But who's to say, right? If you go to some random spot on a moon that nobody else has put anything there, maybe that makes it in there for everyone. You know, if let's say there's 1 million people who play Star Citizen, if all 1 million people separately go there, like one by one, once an hour, they might all see the same gun. You know,
that's correct as well, because
as far as I know,
it's a trickle effect, right? But if I pull out a cup, and this is a really bad analogy because this wouldn't work either, but if I put out the cup, and there's 2,000 people, maybe only half the people can see it. You know what I mean? Because it's got to process and send that information.
Really, we don't know how it'll work, right?
Yeah. I'll tell you now, and if anyone doesn't believe me in chat, it generally, the way they've done this in the past on other servers and stuff is it's done through a prioritization. And I tell you, the best person I think to talk about this, Paul, if you wanted to bring him on, would be Piggles, because he is probably the one of the, and I'm sure there's other content creators that are based around code, and I know there's a guy that's been on here before, but his name eludes me at the moment. If you could get a couple of them on, that might be a really good show to do, to try and clear it up for people.
To clear it up.
I have a development background, but my area is not code, and this is definitely a networking code issue. So it's not exactly my area of expertise.
All right, so I'm gonna end this conversation because that was the last question. It was a deep question, and I know I knew Berks had arguments about this on Twitter, so that's the reason why I was like, I've been stalking Berks all day on Twitter. Berks and
Thunderdome.
And Detox and a bunch of those.
I'm from Australia, man. We've got Mad Max. Don't worry, I got your back, Berks.
By the way, Execute. Tell me if I'm wrong or not. Would you be down for Mad Max roaming bands of nomadic bandits going across the countryside of Hurston, like tanks and cyclones and just crazy bastards, like full on BDSM gear and like flamethrowers?
I'm willing to BDSM. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, cool. I just ask an Australian for that because that was an idea that popped in my brain earlier today, and I wanted to make sure it wasn't too crazy.
I don't think there's anything that's too crazy for me, Paul.
Thank you so much, Buster, Execute, and Berks for joining us for this long Captain Sable. Make sure you follow their social medias or you're hanging out with them. Thank you for raising. So far, we've raised $3,480 for Doctors Without Borders. We're still going.
You gotta fight, Berks. You gotta fight.
I have 17 hours in. I still have 2 more panels to go. So I got this. All right. Thank you all.
Crunchy's coming in for the last panel, so he'll carry
us through. Thank you all again. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black. Later, y'all.
Later, guys.
Bye.
Thank you all.